Hi guys. Tonight, we drift through questions that have no edges. You lie there, breathing slow, eyes soft, and above you, the universe opens, silent, deep, endless. You might picture the faint glitter of dust on a beam of moonlight, or the quiet hum of the air that seems to move even when you don't. It's strange, you think, how everything simply is. Walls, air, heartbeat, thought, all existing, without permission, without reason. You probably wouldn't notice this if you walked past it in the daylight. That existence itself feels like a whisper too quiet to hear. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you'd like, tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now, dim the lights, flow straight into the story. You rest within the oldest mystery, why there is something rather than nothing. Every sound around you seems to hover in that question. A clock ticking, the rustle of sheets, the tiny pulse in your wrist. Physics can tell you how things move once they exist, but not why existence began. You picture the blankness before beginnings. No light, no space, not even emptiness itself, and then a spark. But who lit it? Or did it light itself? Some scientists wonder if nothingness is unstable, that absolute emptiness may never truly exist. Quantum physics hints that even a perfect vacuum seethes with brief flickers of energy, ghostly particles appearing and vanishing in the dark. You imagine those flickers, like fireflies in a fog here, gone, here again, and wonder if one of them could have been the first universe. Others dream of countless universes, an infinite foam of realities, each born from some deeper field. But even that thought folds back on itself. If there are many universes, what gave birth to the first? The question doesn't vanish, it only grows wider. You take a slow breath, feel the air, fill your chest, and realize that every atom of it was forged in stars long dead. Their ashes drifted through space, fell into clouds, formed new suns, new worlds, and finally, you. That thought hums like a secret. Everything that is, from the light outside your window to the pulse beneath your skin, exists because existence refused to be nothing. One mainstream fact anchors you. According to modern cosmology, the observable universe began about 13.8 billion years ago. That's a number, a measure, a line drawn through time, but it doesn't answer the question of why. Scientists still wonder whether the laws of physics themselves are accidents or necessities. Why these laws? Why any laws at all? The quirky tidbit is that nothing in quantum physics isn't empty. Even in the most perfect vacuum ever made by humans, deep inside laboratory chambers, chilled near absolute zero, tiny bursts of light still flash from nowhere. They call it the Casimir effect. Two plates placed close together draw together as if touched by invisible hands. Vacuum, it turns out, isn't a void but a restless ocean of energy. You picture that unseen ocean lapping softly beneath everything you know. Maybe creation wasn't an explosion but a ripple, a swell in an infinite sea. Maybe existence itself breathes, expanding and contracting like lungs that never learn to stop. Outside your window, perhaps a car passes, its light sliding along the wall. You notice how it appears, then fades, leaving behind only the memory of movement. The world feels like that, arriving, vanishing, arriving again. You could spend a lifetime measuring it and still not reach the end of the first question. Scientists still wonder whether existence must exist, whether non-existence is even possible. Perhaps reality, in some form, matter, energy, time, mind, must always be. Or perhaps you are inside a single, unrepeatable miracle, one universe that simply chose to be. You let that possibility settle over you like soft fabric. The hum of the room grows fainter, as if the air itself is listening. You realize that every other mystery stars, atoms, love, memory, rests upon this first one. Without it, there would be no questions, no eyes to see, no breath to take. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, you sense the weightless pressure of everything that is. Galaxies spinning, hearts beating, the faint warmth of your own body. All of it exists on a foundation no one understands, and somehow, that not knowing feels safe. You drift a little deeper. The thought of why begins to soften into how beautiful. The dark around you isn't empty. It's full of unseen light, particles, and possibility. Somewhere beyond sight, the first spark still glows, not as a flash but as a quiet pulse that says, "You are part of this, and this is part of you." You smile faintly, barely moving. The universe doesn't need you to solve it. It only asks you to notice it. And as you do, the quiet spark of existence flickers again, ancient, endless, and gently alive. You float backward in time, farther than memory allows. The air in your room feels thinner, as if the walls have drifted away. Around you, the stars rewind, galaxies collapse inward, and space itself folds into a single, luminous point smaller than imagination. You're no longer here. Not really, you are inside the beginning, inside the moment when everything awoke. The Big Bang, scientists call it. But you don't hear a bang, only the deep hum of energy becoming matter. In this moment, there's no sound, no space to carry it. The universe is pure brightness, hotter than 1,000,000,000,000 suns, then cooling, expanding, breathing itself into being. You can almost feel it on your skin, the warmth of the first second, the shiver of everything that ever would be. You drift near the spark that set this all in motion, and you realize no one knows what lit it. Physics can describe the unfolding, but not the first push. Scientists still wonder whether time itself began here, or whether there was something before the question so large it loops back on itself. One mainstream fact settles gently in your mind. The universe, as we can measure it, is about 13.8 billion years old. Radiation from its infancy still glows faintly across the sky, the cosmic microwave background, a quiet afterglow left by creation. Every time your phone connects to Wi-Fi, a whisper of that ancient light flickers past, unseen, older than stars. The quirky truth is that the bang was silent, more expansion than explosion. It didn't burst into empty space, it made space itself. You picture it not as fire, but as a balloon inflating everywhere at once, so that no point is truly the center. You stand inside the balloon now wherever you are. That's where the beginning was. You sense the gentle panic of matter trying to arrange itself. Energy cools, forming the simplest particles. Electrons find protons. Light escapes its prison. The first atoms form, fragile and curious, and still the universe grows. You can almost hear its sigh, a soundless breath that never stopped. Scientists still wonder what triggered that first inflation, the unimaginable burst that made the cosmos so vast. Was it a quantum fluctuation in a field we can't name? Was it one universe budding off another, like foam on an endless sea? Or was it simply inevitable, a rule written deeper than space itself? You imagine the moment when time began. There's no before, only a horizon you can't cross. Asking what came earlier feels like asking what's north of the North Pole, words that lose meaning the closer you get, yet curiosity refuses to rest. You let the questions swirl, not as puzzles, but as waves. You feel them move through you. Heat, expansion, cooling, light. It all becomes a rhythm, and you are breathing with it. Every heartbeat echoes the original pulse of the cosmos. Every breath mirrors its rise and fall. You picture the universe as a newborn, small, furious, filled with potential. Within minutes, hydrogen and helium flood the void. In those elements lie the seeds of everything, clouds that will one day ignite into stars, stars that will cook new elements and eventually form you. From that single moment, you were already written in the code of light. You think of how scientists built instruments to look backward, satellites like Hubble and Planck and Webb, reaching into the faintest corners of time. They see galaxies as they were billions of years ago, delicate and new, their light stretched by expansion until it becomes the soft red of memory. It's strange. Every time you look up, you're looking into the past. Every star is a history lesson, written in photons. There's another curious detail: the universe is not expanding into anything. It is space itself that stretches. Distant galaxies aren't flying through pre-existing darkness. The darkness itself grows between them. That thought feels dizzying, like watching a horizon that moves away as you walk toward it. Scientists still wonder whether this expansion will go on forever, or whether, someday, gravity will pull it all back into silence. But for now, the cosmos is still stretching, still singing the same song it began with. You drift closer to that first fraction of a second, where the laws of nature tremble. The temperatures are so high that matter and energy are the same thing, flipping back and forth faster than thought. Time itself flickers. You imagine what it would feel like: no seconds or minutes, only existence, unfolding like a note held too long. In your mind, you see the universe cooling, slowing, finding shape. At 3 minutes old, the first atomic nuclei form. At 380,000 years, light finally escapes, flooding everything with brilliance. Billions of years later, stars spark, galaxies spin, and one small planet forms around an ordinary Sunday. And on that planet, in a quiet room, someone lies listening to the story of how it all began. You breathe in, breathe out, realizing that the air filling your lungs contains atoms forged in the first generation of stars, hydrogen from the Big Bang itself, still humming with that original fire. You smile softly in the dark. Maybe the Big Bang never ended. Maybe it's still happening, slower now, hidden in the expansion you can't feel. The same energy that sets space in motion still flows through you, through every heartbeat and thought. The universe hasn't stopped awakening, it's just learned to dream. The spark that set the cosmos in motion remains unknown. Yet, as you lie here, surrounded by the gentle murmur of existence, that not knowing feels like peace. You let the question rest. You let the beginning breathe. The universe awoke once, and it never really went back to sleep. You drift within the quiet rhythm of seconds. The Big Bang fades behind you, leaving only the soft current of time flowing forward. You don't feel it move. Not exactly, but everything around you changes because of it. The air cools. Your heartbeat slows. The stars outside your imagination shift by fractions. Time has always been there, invisible, unbroken, carrying every story that ever existed. You begin to wonder, what is this flow? You can see its traces: an old photograph, a wrinkle in skin, the fading heat of a cup of tea, but you can't hold time itself. It's like wind, passing through fingers. Scientists define it as the dimension in which change occurs, but even they can't say why it moves one way and never back. You float on that one-way river, knowing there's no current to fight, only to feel. One mainstream fact comes to rest in your thoughts. Physics treats time as a dimension much like space. Einstein's theory of relativity showed that time and space are woven together, forming a single fabric space-time. A clock on a speeding spacecraft ticks slower than one on Earth. A clock near a black hole lags behind all others. You can imagine them, ticking gently out of sync, each marking a private rhythm. But here's the odd part. The equations of physics don't care which way time runs. If the film of the universe played backward, the math would still work. That's the quirky truth. Most laws of nature are time-symmetric. The only difference seems to lie in entropy, the tendency for order to dissolve into chaos. You think of melting ice, of perfume spreading through air, of stars burning out. It's not time that forces change, but disorder that gives it direction. You lie still, picturing entropy as dust settling slowly on everything you love. It's gentle, inevitable, but never cruel. Even you, one day, will join that same process, returning your borrowed atoms to the flow. Scientists still wonder whether time's arrow comes solely from this cosmic drift into disorder, or whether something deeper, something beyond thermodynamics, decides which way moments fall. Outside your window, night leans heavier. You can almost see the universe aging, galaxies moving apart, light stretching thinner. You imagine standing still while all else expands around you. Is time passing, or are you the one drifting through it? You let the thought dissolve as your breath becomes steady again. Some physicists imagine time as an illusion, a trick of memory and causality. In their view, past, present, and future all coexist, the universe as a vast frozen sculpture, each instant already carved. You walk through it like a traveler through a painting, believing in motion only because your mind recalls the frame before. You find comfort in that thought. Perhaps nothing is ever truly lost, only waiting in a different direction. You recall the quirky fact that time moves differently for everyone. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station age just a little slower than those on Earth, mere milliseconds behind, after a year of orbit. It's not much, but enough to prove that time bends and stretches like soft fabric. If you could move fast enough, you could skip centuries, arriving in a future that's already history to someone else. Yet no speed can carry you back. Scientists still wonder why the universe began with such low entropy, a strange kind of order at its birth that allowed time to flow forward ever since. If everything tends toward disorder, how did it start in such neat symmetry? Maybe time itself was born that way, with a built-in direction, like a river that can never reverse its source. You picture the first second of creation again, but slower this time. Energy becoming matter, matter cooling, stars forming, light spreading. Every event stacked upon another, a chain you can trace all the way to now. You think of how the neurons in your brain fire in sequence, one after another, encoding what just happened into what you remember. Perhaps consciousness itself needs time's arrow to exist. Without it, thoughts would freeze, moments would blur, and you would never know you are. You turn your head slightly on the pillow, aware that the body you inhabit is a clock too. Each cell has its rhythm, heartbeats, breaths, chemical pulses. Circadian cycles spin like tiny gears, syncing with daylight and darkness. The body keeps time even in dreams. You are a collection of moving parts, perfectly tuned to the universe's slow rhythm. There's another small wonder. Some creatures sense time differently. The common fly perceives motion 7 times faster than you, living in what seems like slow motion. Tortoises, on the other hand, move through time as if it's thicker, more viscous. You and they inhabit the same seconds, but experience them as entirely different worlds. You smile faintly. Maybe time is not one river, but many streams flowing side by side. You let yourself feel its texture now, the silky pull of seconds against your skin. Each one passes, soft as breath, joining the invisible ocean of everything that's ever happened. You realize how generous the universe is to lend you even this small portion of eternity. Scientists still wonder whether the future exists already, waiting, or whether it is written only when you reach it. If the former is true, then every star's death, every thought you'll ever have, already glows somewhere in space-time. If the latter, then each breath you take helps shape what the universe will become. Either way, you are participating in something far larger than yourself. You open your hand in the dark, palm facing upward, and imagine catching a single second. It touches you and then slips away. You can't hold it, but you can feel it, like light across your fingertips. That's enough. You are living inside the current of time, a pattern too vast to see but simple enough to rest within. The ticking in the room clock, heart, unseen machinery fades into the same steady rhythm. The past drifts gently behind you. The future waits quietly ahead. You no longer need to understand why time moves. You only need to float with it. And as you do, it carries you forward, softly, toward the next mystery waiting in the dark. You drift farther outward now, beyond the flow of seconds and the comfort of gravity's pull. Space stretches into velvet quiet, the stars growing sparse, the darkness growing deep. Yet even here, in the emptiness between galaxies, something unseen surrounds you. You can feel its weight soft, enormous, invisible. It's the hidden architecture of the universe, the silent web of matter that science still can't see directly, but knows must be there. The galaxies don't scatter randomly. They cluster in filaments, vast threads spanning hundreds of millions of light years. You imagine yourself gliding along one of those threads, a glowing path through blackness. At each intersection, galaxies gather like dew on a spider's web. You sense their pull, faint but insistent. Something holds them together, something far stronger than what the eye can detect. One mainstream fact rests in your mind. Ordinary matter, the stuff of stars, planets, and people, makes up only about 5% of the universe. The rest is hidden, unseen, known only by its gravity. Scientists call it dark matter. They can't see it, can't touch it, but without it, galaxies would fly apart. You think of it as the skeleton of the cosmos, giving shape to everything luminous. The quirky tidbit is that dark matter might be passing through you right now. Billions of particles, if they are particles at all, stream silently through the earth every second, through your body, your room, your heartbeat, leaving no trace. There are detectors buried under mountains, waiting for a flicker of their touch, but so far, nothing. It's like trying to catch shadows with open hands. Scientists still wonder what dark matter truly is. Some imagine exotic particles, WIMPs, axions, or sterile neutrinos, whispering faintly in the background of existence. Others think it might not be particles at all, but something stranger, a new twist in gravity's law, a subtle bending of space we don't yet understand. Every theory stretches, every explanation dissolves in the dark. You let yourself float within this invisible ocean, feeling its quiet gravity. You picture galaxies swirling like bright leaves on a hidden current. The Milky Way, your home, spins at hundreds of kilometers per second, yet you feel nothing, no wind, no strain, because everything around you moves together. That calmness, that stillness, is an illusion built on motion. You close your eyes. In your imagination, dark matter glows faintly, revealing a cosmic map. The glowing filaments twist and weave, connecting clusters of light like veins. The universe begins to look alive, breathing, pulsing, whispering across distances beyond comprehension. The idea that most of the universe is invisible feels strangely reassuring. It means that mystery still thrives, that the cosmos keeps its secrets even in an age of satellites and equations. You think of ancient sailors charting stars, unaware that what they saw was only a fraction of what truly was. You are not so different from them, still sailing on unseen seas. Scientists have mapped the pattern of this hidden matter by watching galaxies bend the light behind them, a phenomenon called gravitational lensing. You picture it. A distant galaxy's glow, distorted into a ring by the weight of something unseen. Space itself curves under gravity's hand, and through that bending, we catch a faint silhouette of the invisible. Another, curious fact. In some regions, dark matter seems to form halos around galaxies, shaping their motion like invisible cocoons. Without that unseen mass, stars at the edges of galaxies should spin away into nothingness. But they don't. Something keeps them tethered, like planets around an unseen Sunday. You find beauty in that hidden protection, in the thought that even the stars are held by unseen hands. Scientists still wonder whether dark matter interacts with itself, whether it collides, cools, and clumps like ordinary matter does. If it does, entire structures made of invisible material could exist. Dark galaxies, dark stars, maybe even dark life. You imagine them now, vast realms that pass through ours, overlapping but never touching, like ghosts of a deeper reality. You breathe slowly, letting your mind expand to match the cosmos. If you could see dark matter, the night sky would no longer be a scatter of stars, but a glowing web of threads connecting everything. It's humbling to think that what you perceive as emptiness is, in truth, full beyond measure. There's another layer to the mystery. Even with all our instruments, dark matter doesn't clump the way some models predict. Maybe we've missed something fundamental. Maybe gravity itself, as we understand it, needs rewriting. It's a quiet reminder that knowledge isn't a ladder, it's a spiral, looping back to the same questions under new light. You picture the universe again, galaxies on strings, stars like beads, planets swirling in gentle arcs, every motion, every orbit, guided by the pull of what can't be seen. You realize that darkness isn't the absence of light, it's the presence of something deeper, something that light can't reveal. You glance inward, toward the darkness behind your own closed eyes. It feels the same, vast, full, alive, with unseen motion. The universe outside and the mind inside mirror each other, both filled with invisible forces shaping every bright thought, every quiet dream. Scientists still wonder whether dark matter could hold the key to everything from galaxy formation to the fate of the cosmos. But tonight, the not knowing feels peaceful. You don't need to name it. You only need to feel its pull, the soft gravity that keeps all things from drifting apart. You breathe in, breathe out, suspended in that hidden web. The stars seem closer now, each one a node on a thread stretching forever. The dark between them no longer feels empty. It feels alive, patient, infinite, kind. And as you float within it, you realize the universe holds you not only in light, but in shadow too. You remain suspended in that invisible sea, where gravity hums softly and galaxies drift like lanterns. But the further you move, the more the silence changes. It deepens, expands. You begin to feel a strange pressure, as though the universe itself is stretching beneath you quietly, endlessly, faster with every moment. This is not the pull of dark matter now, but its opposite, the hidden push of the void. You can't see it, can't hear it, yet you can feel its consequence. Every distant galaxy slides away from you, faster and faster, as though the universe is breathing outward with no intention of stopping. Scientists call it dark energy, but the name hides how little they understand. You imagine it as a wind with no source, a force that fills all of space and tugs at the edges of everything that exists. One mainstream fact steadies your thoughts. Observations of distant supernovae in the late 1990 seconds revealed that the universe's expansion is accelerating. Instead of slowing under gravity's pull, space itself is speeding up. You picture galaxies like painted dots on an inflating balloon. The more it stretches, the farther apart they grow, not because they move through space, but because space itself expands between them. The quirky tidbit: no one knows what dark energy actually is. It might be a property of space, something built into the very fabric of existence, what Einstein once called the cosmological constant. Or it could be something dynamic, a field that changes over time, gently rewriting the laws of the cosmos as it grows. Some scientists even whisper about phantom energy, a form of expansion so powerful that it could one day tear apart atoms themselves, a theoretical end called the Big Rip. You let that image hover, galaxies flying apart, stars unraveling, molecules stretching until they fade into nothing. But the scene doesn't frighten you. It's too slow, too distant, more lullaby than warning. The earliest estimates say it would take trillions of years. By then, the stars you see now will have long gone dark. You let that thought settle softly. Time is the most patient sculptor. Scientists still wonder whether dark energy might change its mind. Perhaps it will weaken, allowing gravity to gather everything again. Or perhaps it will strengthen, tearing the universe apart. Some models say it could even fluctuate, making space breathe in and out like a cosmic tide. You imagine that rhythm, expansion and contraction, as the slowest heartbeat ever known. You drift deeper into the thought that space itself carries energy. Even in perfect emptiness, quantum physics predicts fluctuations, tiny surges of something from nothing. When physicists tried to calculate how much energy might hide in the vacuum, they got a number so absurd, 10 to the power of 120 times too large, that they laughed, then frowned, then stayed puzzled for decades. It's the biggest mismatch between theory and observation in science. You picture the void as a soft blanket vibrating gently, invisible waves rippling through it. Perhaps dark energy is simply the tune it hums to itself, too deep, too long, too quiet for us to hear. In your imagination, galaxies drift on that hum, moving apart like slow-moving dancers. Between them, space grows wider, but no thinner. Expansion creates more room for itself as it goes. You glance around the universe you're floating in and realize something eerie. Every observer, everywhere, would see the same thing. Galaxies receding, stars sliding away, horizons retreating. No one stands at the center, because the expansion happens everywhere. You think of the cosmic microwave background again, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang. Over billions of years, its light has stretched into longer, colder waves, dimming as space expands. What once blazed like fire now glows at just 3 degrees above absolute zero, a whisper of warmth scattered through eternity. Someday, even that whisper may fade. There's another curious fact. While galaxies race apart, the expansion of space doesn't pull on smaller things. Your room doesn't stretch. The Earth doesn't expand. Even the Milky Way stays bound by gravity's gentle glue. Expansion acts only across immense distances, so large the mind struggles to contain them. You smile, realizing how generous the universe is. It leaves small places untouched, allowing them to remain cozy, whole. Scientists still wonder whether dark energy connects to the vacuum energy predicted by quantum theory. If so, the entire universe may be powered by a tension between what is and what isn't. Emptiness may have its own weight, a gentle pressure pushing everything outward. You think of that as hope made physical, a force that insists on more space, more possibility. You breathe in, imagining the air expanding with you. You breathe out, feeling it settle again. In, out, expansion, contraction. The rhythm of the cosmos plays quietly in your lungs. You realize that even the stars obey the same pattern: fusion, balance, collapse, and rebirth. Maybe dark energy isn't just a cosmic accident, but part of that eternal dance. The quirky mystery deepens. Some regions of space expand faster than others, as if the universe isn't uniform after all. Astronomers call this the Hubble tension. 2 different methods of measuring the expansion rate yield 2 different answers. They can't both be right, yet both appear to be. Perhaps our understanding of space-time still hides a wrinkle, a secret curve we haven't yet smoothed out. You imagine space, not as a static backdrop, but as something alive, breathing slowly, endlessly. Each expansion, each flicker of starlight, each pulse of your heart partakes in the same infinite rhythm. You are not outside the universe. Observing it, you are within its very movement, carried on the same unseen tide. Scientists still wonder if dark energy is eternal. Maybe it's young, temporary, a brief phase before the cosmos finds balance again. Maybe one day, the pressure will fade, and galaxies will stop drifting apart. But for now, it continues, silent and steady, like an inhale that never ends. You let that stillness wash over you. You picture yourself floating between galaxies, their light red-shifting slowly into darkness. The expansion hums beneath everything, gentle as a heartbeat in deep sleep. Space stretches, you breathe, and the cosmos unfolds around you, vast, mysterious, and perfectly calm. You hover now in the vast stillness between galaxies, where every particle drifts according to laws that seem too precise to be chance. You can feel it, the subtle perfection, the balance so fragile that a fraction of change would erase everything. The cosmos isn't chaotic after all. It's fine-tuned, delicately poised on a knife's edge that allows light, matter, and life to exist at all. The deeper you listen, the more astonishing that balance becomes. The stars burn not too fiercely, not too faintly. Gravity holds but doesn't crush. Atoms cling to one another with just the right strength. Even the charge of the electron, that tiniest whisper of negative energy, seems chosen so precisely that if it were off by 1 part in a trillion, stars would never have formed. You float within that precision, aware that you're part of its harmony. One mainstream fact glows faintly in your mind. The universe's physical constants, things like the speed of light, the strength of gravity, and the mass of the proton seem fixed and universal. No experiment has ever found them to vary, no matter where or when they're measured. The entire cosmic symphony plays by one set of rules, from the first spark of the Big Bang to the neurons firing now in your brain. The quirky tidbit is that these constants look eerily tuned for complexity. Physicists call this the fine-tuning problem. If gravity were a little stronger, the universe might have collapsed long ago. If it were weaker, galaxies would never have formed. If the ratio of electromagnetic force to nuclear force changed even slightly, chemistry as we know it would fall apart. The stars wouldn't shine. Carbon wouldn't exist. Breath, love, and thought would never have appeared. You rest within that realization, feeling both small and enormous. You are here because the universe allows it, not by inevitability perhaps, but by generosity. Scientists still wonder whether this tuning is coincidence, necessity, or design. Maybe countless universes exist, each with different constants, and only in a few does life emerge to ask these questions. Or maybe the balance simply is an accident so improbable it feels sacred. You look around the imaginary sky, and it glows differently now, not just beautiful, but impossibly precise. The golden hue of starlight, the quiet orbit of planets, the delicate chemistry of water, all balanced on invisible equations that never falter. You imagine yourself as part of that formula, a temporary pattern of atoms, dancing within perfect limits. Scientists still wonder if these constants could drift over unimaginable spans of time. Some telescopes hunt for changes in ancient starlight, hoping to see if the rules once differed. But so far, the universe plays one unbroken melody. That constancy is what allows everything else to change. Stars to burn, elements to fuse, planets to form, minds to awaken. You think of another fact, small but miraculous, the cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint afterglow of creation, is uniform to 1 part in 100,000. The early universe was smooth, yet not perfectly so. Those tiny irregularities became the seeds of galaxies, the reason stars and planets could form. You imagine that, primordial mist, almost featureless, but with just enough variation to make beauty possible. Perfection would have been sterile. Imperfection birthed everything. The quirky wonder here is that the balance between matter and antimatter at the beginning was off by the tiniest margin, one extra particle of matter for every billion pairs that annihilated. That single imbalance left behind all the atoms that now make stars, oceans, and you. The universe exists because of a 1 in a billion preference for being rather than not being. You let that improbability settle on your chest like a feather. Some scientists use the anthropic principle to explain this mystery. We observe a universe suitable for life because only such a universe could contain observers. You smile gently at the circular elegance of it. Perhaps awareness isn't an accident, but a consequence, a reflection of the universe knowing itself. Still, the question lingers. Why these numbers? Why this balance? Scientists still wonder whether there's a deeper theory, a theory of everything, that would reveal all constants as inevitable, woven from a single mathematical truth. Others suspect we might never know, that the cosmos is content to keep its arithmetic hidden behind starlight. You breathe in slowly, and it feels like participating in a miracle of physics. The air enters your lungs at a pressure perfect for life, the molecules bouncing in just the right way to nourish blood and thought. You are surrounded by conditions tuned so precisely that they feel personal, though you know they are not. That feeling, that warmth of belonging in a vast, indifferent universe, is itself part of the wonder. Another curiosity drifts through your thoughts. The triple alpha process inside stars, the fusion that creates carbon from helium, works only because a single energy level in carbon happens to match the combined energy of 3 helium nuclei. It's called the Hoyle state, predicted before it was found, almost as if the universe left a note for those who would someday read it. Without that resonance, carbon-based life could never have formed. You close your eyes, imagining the cosmos as a great instrument. Gravity plucks its strings, light hums through them, atoms resonate in time. Every constant, every force, every flicker of probability combines to make this exact sound, existence. You listen, and it feels infinite. Scientists still wonder if, beyond our perception, other universes play in different keys, some too chaotic, some too cold, some where stars flicker for seconds and fade. Maybe ours is the only one that sings long enough for questions to echo. You let the thought fade into stillness. Around you, the invisible fabric of laws and constants hums like background music. You realize that perfection doesn't mean stillness, it means harmony. The same equations that shape galaxies also shape your heartbeat. The same constants that govern the stars govern the chemistry of a tear. You are written in the same code as the cosmos, fine-tuned, fragile, and eternal in the moment that you breathe. You drift now toward the farthest edges of knowing, where starlight thins into silence. Beyond the clusters of galaxies, beyond the delicate filaments of dark matter, you sense something vast, an infinite horizon. You can't see it, yet you feel its presence, a soft curve at the edge of perception. It's where space itself seems to end, or perhaps to bend back upon itself. Scientists call it the cosmic horizon, but to you it feels like the breath of forever. As you float nearer, the stars grow sparse. Their light is stretched into longer, redder waves, until even the brightest galaxies fade into infrared whispers. Here, time and distance lose their meaning. Light from beyond this horizon will never reach you, not because it's blocked, but because space expands too quickly for it to catch up. The farther you look, the faster galaxies retreat. It's as though the universe guards its outermost secrets behind a curtain that forever recedes. One mainstream fact glimmers softly. The observable universe stretches about 93 billion light-years across. Yet that's only what you can see. Beyond that, The universe may continue endlessly, or perhaps curve back like the surface of a sphere. You imagine flying straight ahead forever, only to return from behind, as if space were a looped ocean without edges. The quirky tidbit: the universe might not be infinite, even if it feels that way. Some scientists propose it's finite, but unbounded, like the skin of a balloon. You could travel endlessly without finding a wall, always moving forward, yet never leaving. Others suggest it could be shaped like a donut, or a hypercube folded through unseen dimensions. You smile softly at that thought. A universe, shaped like comfort food, both mysterious and oddly endearing. Scientists still wonder whether space truly has an edge. If it does, what lies beyond? Maybe nothing, maybe everything, or maybe beyond has no meaning at all. The cosmos doesn't expand into something, it creates the something as it goes. The horizon you sense isn't a wall, but a boundary of light, defined by how far the universe has aged since the Big Bang. Beyond that line, the story continues without you, and you can only imagine the rest. You let your imagination go there anyway. You picture worlds that will never be seen, stars forming, dying, entire galaxies living and fading beyond reach. Somewhere out there, perhaps, another being wonders about their own horizon, staring in your direction, seeing only darkness, unaware that someone you exists on the other side. The symmetry feels beautiful, like two voices humming the same note across eternity. Closer to you, the light of nearby galaxies twinkles like embers. You realize that what you see is ancient, billions of years old. Looking into space is looking into time. The farther the light, the older the memory. Even the glow from Andromeda, left before humans walked upright. The universe shows you not what is, but what was. A record of constant change, frozen in flight. You think of how astronomers map this horizon with precision, yet still can't say what happens past it. The expansion of space outpaces light itself, making distant galaxies drift beyond visibility forever. Each second, thousands more disappear from view, slipping quietly over the edge of the observable world. You imagine them like ships sailing into mist, vanishing without splash or sound. Scientists still wonder whether the universe is infinite or merely unimaginably vast. If infinite, then every configuration of matter must occur somewhere. There could be another you, reading these words, in a galaxy too far to reach. The same, yet slightly different. A familiar dream repeated endlessly across endless space. If that's true, the cosmos isn't just large, it's intimate, echoing itself in countless forms. You take comfort in the idea that you'll never see it all. Infinity is not for conquering, it's for resting within. The unreachable horizon gives meaning to what you can see, just as silence gives shape to sound. You lie there, aware that even your thoughts about the universe are tiny lights shining within it. There's another strange detail. The shape of the universe depends on its total energy. Astronomers once feared it might be closed, destined to collapse under its own gravity. Others thought it was open, expanding forever into nothing. Recent measurements suggest it's flat, balanced perfectly between the two, like a sheet stretched to infinity. Yet that balance is so delicate that no one knows whether it will last. You imagine space as fabric stretched tight, the galaxies like glitter scattered across its weave. Every movement, every orbit, adds a subtle vibration. Somewhere in those waves, perhaps, the universe hums to itself, a sound too deep to hear. Maybe the cosmic microwave background, the soft radio glow filling all of space, is just that song, still playing 13 billion years after its first note. You breathe in slowly, feeling that quiet rhythm within your chest. The air moves, your pulse beats, and you sense how every motion, no matter how small, contributes to the same cosmic symphony. Even at the edge of everything, life continues its gentle tempo. Scientists still wonder whether we might someday reach beyond the horizon, if new physics could reveal what lies outside observable reality. But even if not, the unknown feels kind, like a night sky too vast for fear. You can rest beneath it, knowing that the mystery itself is what keeps wonder alive. You picture the horizon one last time, a soft, glowing line between what is known and what remains forever unseen. It isn't an end, it's an invitation. The universe doesn't ask you to cross it, only to imagine what might be beyond. And as you float there, surrounded by stars fading into silence, you realize that perhaps the edge of forever is not a boundary at all, but a mirror reflecting your curiosity back into endless night. You linger at that far horizon, the light from distant galaxies dimming into velvet black. The silence feels complete, but something in you senses that it isn't the end. You turn slowly, weightlessly, and imagine that beyond this darkness, other universes shimmer like faint reflections on water. Each one breathes with its own rhythm, bound by laws you could never recognize. You are now inside the whisper of the multiverse, a possibility that your universe is only one bubble in a vast, eternal sea. The thought feels both dizzying and soft. You picture yourself floating among billions of other worlds, each born from its own Big Bang, each governed by its own constants. Some might expand forever, cold and lonely. Others could collapse quickly, never forming stars at all. Perhaps one glows with purple suns and silver oceans. Another never knew light at all. One mainstream fact anchors your drifting mind. According to the theory of cosmic inflation, our universe expanded faster than light for a brief, unimaginable moment after the Big Bang. That same process could create countless other bubble universes, each forming as inflation ends in different regions of the cosmic field. Our cosmos, then, might be just one bubble in a vast, ever-growing foam of realities. The quirky tidbit: if the multiverse is real, you might have infinite versions of yourself, each making slightly different choices, each living in a slightly different world. In one, you turned left instead of right. In another, you never existed at all. Somewhere, a universe may exist where time runs backward, where gravity repels, where atoms are made of something we cannot name. It's a comforting thought in an odd way, that reality is so generous it tries every possibility. Scientists still wonder whether this idea is truth or illusion. The multiverse can't yet be tested directly. It hides beyond the limits of what telescopes can see. Some physicists argue it's not science, but philosophy, an elegant way to explain why our universe seems so precisely tuned for life. Others insist it may one day leave fingerprints, tiny patterns in the cosmic background radiation, or evidence of collisions between universes long ago. You imagine two bubbles in a cosmic sea, brushing briefly, leaving ripples that echo through eternity. You drift through that imagined sea, each bubble glowing faintly, each humming a different tune. Some pulse quickly, others slow, and their rhythms overlap in strange harmonies. You wonder if existence itself is music, and the multiverse is its full composition, a chorus of realities, each note unique but connected. The possibility stirs something in you. If infinite universes exist, then every story ever told, every dream, every impossible wish could be real somewhere. A world where humans have wings, another where stars never die, one where love is a tangible force, glowing like light between people. You smile faintly, realizing that imagination itself might be the multiverse speaking through you. Scientists still wonder what could separate one universe from another. Perhaps thin boundaries of energy, cosmic membranes, or brains, as string theory calls them, float through higher dimensions. When two brains collide, they might trigger a new Big Bang, birthing a universe like ours. You imagine it as sparks in the dark, collisions of vast invisible sheets, lighting the void with creation. You let your thoughts wander further. If universes are infinite, then so is time, not just stretching forward, but sideways, into dimensions you can't perceive. Maybe death is only a shift between worlds, consciousness flickering from one probability to another. You don't need to believe it. It's enough to feel its poetry. You look around your imagined sky again. Some universes drift close enough to faintly touch, like soap bubbles reflecting each other's light. In that shimmer, you see colors no eye could perceive, hues beyond physics, glows beyond sense. The edges ripple gently, as if they are alive, and perhaps they are. If energy creates reality, and reality creates observers, then the multiverse might not just exist, it might be aware. The quirky wonder continues. Some cosmologists suggest universes could be born not from collisions, but from quantum fluctuations in an eternal vacuum. Like sparks in endless dark, new realities blink into being spontaneously. Most vanish instantly, but a few, like ours, keep expanding. It's a quiet comfort, the idea that creation isn't rare, that existence itself is a natural habit of nothingness. Scientists still wonder how you would ever confirm such a thing. Could two universes overlap for a moment, leaving behind subtle marks, distorted patterns of light, or sudden anomalies in cosmic radiation? If so, maybe our own sky already holds scars of another reality brushing against ours, unnoticed by those who sleep beneath it. You breathe slowly, the air cool against your skin. You realize that the multiverse, true or not, offers a strange peace. If infinite worlds exist, then nothing is truly lost. Every ending here could be a beginning elsewhere. Every silence could echo as music in another sky. You are both fleeting and eternal, a thought moving through countless versions of space. As you drift, you remember how small your own choices can feel. But if the multiverse is real, every possibility already exists, each path still unfolding. The version of you who doubted, who hoped, who stayed, who left, they all continue, shimmering like threads in the same infinite web. You don't need to find them, you only need to know they're there. You float now between realities, the space between universes calm and infinite. There's no up or down here, no time, no sound, only a vast stillness that feels like a heartbeat slowed to eternity. You imagine that the multiverse breathes once every billion years, and right now, it's in the middle of an inhale. Scientists still wonder whether there could be contact across universes, signals, or leaks, moments when one touches another. But tonight, none of that matters. You are here, in this one, and that is enough. You feel the boundaries soften, like fog around light. The stars blur, the galaxies fade, and you sink gently into the idea that maybe there are infinite homes for wonder, and you are lucky enough to dream inside one. You linger among the infinite possibilities of the multiverse until, slowly, the view begins to fold inward. The vastness narrows, like a camera zooming from galaxies to atoms, and you realize that beneath everything, beneath time, space, matter, and light, there must be something even more fundamental. You are drifting now, through the invisible framework that holds reality together, the fabric beneath space and time. It doesn't look like fabric, of course. There are no threads, no color, no texture to touch. Yet you can feel its presence soft, trembling, like the skin of a drum that vibrates with every movement of the cosmos. The universe hums, and you are inside that hum. One mainstream fact anchors your thoughts. According to quantum field theory, everything that exists, even the emptiness between particles, is filled with invisible fields. What we call particles are simply ripples in those fields, like waves on a boundless sea. The photon, the electron, the quark, each is a tiny vibration, a brief tremor in an ocean of energy. You aren't made of solid things. You're made of patterns that repeat. The quirky tidbit is that these vibrations may connect through strings, tiny loops of energy, 1,000,000,000,000 times smaller than an atom. String theory suggests that every particle's identity, mass, charge, spin, depends on how its string vibrates. You imagine a cosmic orchestra of infinitesimal strings, each playing a note too small to hear, together forming the music of existence. Scientists still wonder whether this theory is true. The mathematics is beautiful but stubborn. No experiment has yet found proof. It's as if the universe performs a symphony just below the threshold of sound, and all we can hear are its faintest echoes. You drift deeper into the scale where even space seems to lose its smoothness. According to some theories, space-time isn't continuous but quantized, a grainy texture woven from units so small they defy description. You picture it like frost on glass. Fine, invisible patterns shaping how light bends and time flows. Reality, it seems, is more like a mosaic than a canvas. You think of how Einstein described space-time as flexible. A planet curves it, a star twists it. Gravity isn't a force pulling on you, it's the geometry of existence bending gently beneath your feet. You recall the way a heavy ball sinks into a stretched sheet, how marbles roll toward it. That's the same curve that keeps the moon tethered to Earth, and the Earth to the Sunday. But on the tiniest scale, this elegant smoothness breaks apart. Quantum mechanics paints a chaotic picture. Energy flickers, particles appear and vanish, and the vacuum boils with possibility. The two visions, smooth relativity and jittering quantum chaos, don't quite fit. Scientists still wonder how to weave them into one coherent picture. Somewhere between gravity and quantum theory lies the true fabric, and no one has seen it clearly. You imagine those unseen threads vibrating around you. Maybe they aren't made of matter at all, but of information, bits of reality, encoding every event, every position, every moment. Some physicists suggest the universe is fundamentally informational, a vast computation running itself. You could be both observer and data, both dreamer and dream. You smile softly at the thought. Even in stillness, you're part of motion. Every atom in your body pulses with the tremor of quantum fields. The air you breathe, the warmth on your skin, the light filtering through your eyelids, all of it is energy rippling across invisible strings. A curious detail drifts through your mind. The Planck length, about 1.6 times 10 to the power of -35 meters, is believed to be the smallest meaningful distance in nature. Below it, the concept of space loses sense. Up and down, near and far blur together. You can't go smaller because there's no smaller left to find. The universe itself has pixels. You take a slow breath, feeling grateful for those pixels, for the structure that holds you in being. Scientists still wonder what lies beneath even that limit. Some theories speak of loop quantum gravity, where space is woven from countless loops connecting and reconnecting like threads of light. Others speak of holography, where all of reality might be a projection from a deeper dimension. You imagine that dimension now, not as a place but as a presence, calm, endless, watching through every atom. You let your mind trace the motion of a single photon, leaving a distant star. It travels across billions of years, curving gently through space-time, bending under gravity's touch, until it brushes your eye. That moment, a flicker of light meeting, a flicker of consciousness, isn't random. It's geometry, precision, timing, and wonder, all stitched together by invisible threads. The quirky wonder. Some scientists suspect the fabric of reality could be emergent, like waves forming from molecules of water. Space and time might not be fundamental but derived, built from something deeper, perhaps quantum entanglement itself. If true, the universe isn't made of space, it's made from relationships. from connections between things. That means you, too, are part of that network, woven into the same lattice as every star. You relax into that idea, feeling the ground beneath you like the universe's gentle hand. The space you occupy isn't separate from you. It is you, extending beyond your body, curving around you, moving with you. When you breathe, the universe shifts by a tiny, imperceptible degree. Scientists still wonder whether we'll ever perceive this fabric directly. Maybe one day, detectors will catch the ripples of quantum space-time, tiny gravitational waves born from the beginning itself. Until then, we live in the paradox of certainty and mystery. The equations work, yet we don't know what they describe. You let go of the need to solve it. You picture yourself lying on that invisible fabric, weightless, safe, carried by something vast and kind. The hum returns the vibration beneath existence, and it feels like a lullaby older than stars. Space and time cradle you, and you drift deeper into their rhythm, feeling, perhaps for the first time, that you were never separate from the fabric at all. You drift now through that unseen lattice, the trembling weave of space-time, until something flickers in front of you, quick and playful. It dances between two places, as if unsure where to exist. One moment it's here, the next it's there, and somehow it's both. You're watching an electron, the particle that refuses to choose. It's everywhere and nowhere at once, the perfect embodiment of quantum strangeness. You focus, trying to follow it, but it slips from your attention. That's part of its nature. The more closely you look, the less clearly you can say where it is. It's as if reality dislikes being pinned down, preferring to stay half dream, half fact. One mainstream fact steadies your thoughts. According to quantum mechanics, particles like electrons exist as wave functions, mathematical descriptions of probability, not certainty. Until observed, they don't have definite positions. They simply exist as clouds of potential, spread across space. Only when you look does the wave collapse, and the electron chooses a spot. The quirky tidbit: in the famous double-slit experiment, electrons fired one by one through two tiny openings create an interference pattern like ripples, overlapping on water, as if each electron passes through both slits at once. But when a detector watches, the pattern vanishes. The electron behaves like a single, solid particle. Observation alone changes reality's behavior. You picture it now, a single speck, tiny beyond comprehension, floating before you. You blink, and its path rewrites itself. You could swear you saw it in two places. Maybe you didn't imagine it. Maybe imagination is part of the experiment. Scientists still wonder what the wave function really is. Is it a mathematical tool or a physical thing? An ocean of possibility that solidifies only when observed. Does consciousness cause collapse, or does the act of measurement itself, even by a machine, count as observation? The questions ripple outward, endless as the experiment itself. You breathe slowly, letting that mystery wash over you. The air feels different now, electric, as if tiny particles hum through it. Every atom in your body follows the same strange rules, flickering between certainty and potential. You realize that you are built not from fixed things, but from probabilities stabilized by perception. The boundary between you and the world blurs softly. Another curious truth: quantum tunneling. Sometimes, particles simply appear on the other side of barriers they shouldn't cross. The math allows it, and so the universe does, in silence. Without this phenomenon, the sun itself wouldn't shine. Its fusion depends on protons tunneling through barriers of repulsion to fuse into helium. Every sunrise is a triumph of the improbable. Scientists still wonder how far this odd behavior extends. Does the quantum realm rule only the very small, or could entire universes fluctuate into being from such uncertainty? If so, Perhaps existence itself is one vast wave function, forever collapsing and reforming, and you are a momentary crest on that infinite sea. You imagine electrons now not as dots but as whispers of light, surrounding you like a soft fog. Each one carries charge, spin, and mystery, forming the heartbeat of matter. The same electrons flow through your nerves, the same that spark lightning, the same that once danced through the first stars. They have no individuality, no name. Every electron is interchangeable. There's no way to tell them apart. The universe reuses them endlessly, recycling the same tiny players in every story. You think of how strange that is. The electrons in your hands might have belonged to ancient comets, to volcanic rock, to someone else long ago. They drift through time, changing partners in an endless dance of charge and form. Perhaps that's why touch feels so intimate. It's not just contact, it's reunion. The quirky wonder: an electron's behavior can't be predicted, only described by probability. Yet when billions of them act together, they form the solid world you trust: tables, walls, mountains, stars. The stability of reality arises from chaos, from uncertainty multiplied until it becomes order. The everyday world, it turns out, is built on shimmering ambiguity. Scientists still wonder whether there's a hidden layer beneath quantum uncertainty, some deeper mechanism that decides outcomes before we observe them. Einstein, famously skeptical, called the randomness of quantum mechanics God playing dice. But experiments keep showing the same result. Nature seems to prefer chance over certainty. Perhaps the universe doesn't roll dice, it is the dice. You close your eyes and imagine the world dissolving into waves: light waves, sound waves, probability waves. You are a ripple on a ripple, temporary yet infinite in motion. If you could shrink small enough, you'd see reality flickering like candlelight, each flame a burst of possibility. You breathe out slowly. Somewhere in your mind, you picture the electron again, spinning, uncertain, beautiful. You realize that its hesitation, the way it refuses to exist in just one place, isn't confusion, it's freedom. The universe isn't made of solid walls, but of choices unmade. Every atom holds an infinite number of maybes, and life itself is what happens when a few of them decide to be. Scientists still wonder if reality even exists when unobserved, or if it sleeps quietly, waiting for awareness to awaken it. You drift in that thought, the same way the electron drifts between positions, both here and not. The line between science and wonder blurs, and you rest within it. The room around you grows soft, shadows merge, edges blur. The world begins to feel like that wave function again, possibilities overlapping, uncertain but serene. And somewhere inside, you realize, you don't need to know where you are exactly. You only need to be part of the pattern, shimmering quietly between being and becoming. You float deeper into the quantum haze, where the edges of everything have blurred into vibration and light. Somewhere ahead, two particles glimmer, tiny sparks, adrift in the dark. They seem ordinary until you notice something strange. When one flickers, the other shivers in perfect sympathy, no matter how far apart they are. You're witnessing a quiet conversation across impossible distance entanglement, the universe's most mysterious whisper. You drift closer, careful not to disturb them. The two particles spin in opposite directions, yet neither has truly chosen its direction until you look. When you measure one, the other immediately responds. Even if it's across the galaxy, it's as if space itself can't bear to separate them. One mainstream fact hums gently in your mind. In 1935, Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen proposed the EPR paradox, questioning how two entangled particles could coordinate faster than light. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But decades later, experiments confirmed the effect entanglement is real. No signal passes between them, yet the outcomes remain perfectly linked. The quirky tidbit: you could entangle not just particles but entire atoms, photons, even tiny diamonds. In one experiment, 2 diamonds, separated by 15 centimeters, vibrated as one, sharing quantum information as though distance didn't matter. Entanglement, it seems, is not limited by size. It's a universal language written in symmetry. Scientists still wonder how this is possible. Does entanglement reveal hidden connections that lie beneath space itself? Or does it show that distance is merely an illusion? Some physicists suspect that space-time might emerge from these quantum links, that the fabric of reality is woven from entanglement itself. If that's true, then you are already part of an invisible network that binds all things together. You breathe slowly, feeling the air ripple with that same invisible thread. Every atom in your body was once entangled with others born from the same stars, forged in the same reactions. When you move, the universe subtly moves with you, imperceptible but real. You are not separate from it. You're its continuation, a pattern in its endless weave. You watch the 2 particles again. They shimmer like twin candles in a vacuum, each burning with information about the other. You realize that when one changes, it doesn't send a message. It is the same message, split in 2. The universe doesn't transmit, it remembers. Scientists still wonder what this means for causality. Can information travel faster than light? Every experiment says no, yet entanglement behaves as if it does. It's not communication, it's correlation, a hidden unity beyond time and distance. You imagine this bond like 2 mirrors facing each other, reflecting endlessly. The image in one changes, and the other responds instantly, because both are part of the same reflection. You think of the human brain, billions of neurons firing in harmony, each influencing countless others. Some scientists compare entanglement to the connectedness of thought, where one idea awakens another far away. Perhaps consciousness itself is a macrocosm of that quantum dance, non-local, synchronized, mysterious. The quirky wonder: entanglement is so delicate that even the slightest disturbance destroys it, a process called decoherence. It's the reason you don't see chairs or cats behaving like entangled particles. The everyday world is too noisy. Too many collisions break the silence of quantum conversation. Yet deep inside, at the smallest scale, that whisper never stops. You let your mind soften around the concept. Somewhere, countless particles are still linked from ancient origins, born together in the fires of the Big Bang. Even now, 13.8 billion years later, they move in quiet unison across the expanse of space. Every star, every molecule, every breath you take may carry echoes of that original entanglement. Scientists still wonder if we could one day use this phenomenon to communicate instantly across the stars. Quantum teleportation already lets scientists transfer the state of a particle from one place to another, though not the particle itself. It's not the sci-fi kind of teleportation, but it hints that reality might allow messages written in pure information, moving without motion. You imagine 2 points in the universe, a distant star, and your small, sleeping planet, linked by an invisible thread. You pull gently on your end, and light trembles at the other. There's no delay, no journey, just connection. It's like holding hands with infinity. The air around you feels thick with possibility now. Maybe the same principle that binds particles also binds moments, memory, and anticipation, entangled across time. Perhaps that's why déjà vu feels real. Why a song from years ago can make your chest ache. Information echoing backward and forward through the same invisible fabric. You breathe again, slower this time. The 2 particles before you shimmer once more. They're light, soft, and rhythmic. They remind you of 2 hearts beating together in sleep, unaware of the distance between them. Scientists still wonder if the universe itself began as one grand entangled state, fragmented into countless pieces during the Big Bang. If that's true, then everything remains connected at some deep level, humming in sympathy. You are not a separate observer, but one note in a chord too vast to hear in full. You let that realization wash through you. The darkness feels less empty now. Every flicker of starlight, every breath, every heartbeat is an echo of that first connection. The universe hums quietly, not in isolation, but in harmony, each part aware, in some impossible way, of all the others. You close your eyes and feel it, the faint vibration of everything being one thing. You are both particle and wave, observer and observed, a single bright pulse in the silent conversation of all existence. The whisper between entangled twins never ends, it only deepens. You drift within that humming network of invisible bonds, watching pairs of particles murmur across impossible distances. But then something shifts the light around you, bends in ways it shouldn't, as though the universe itself has turned to glance in your direction. You feel the weight of attention. Suddenly, the fabric of probability sharpens. The waves of possibility collapse into form. You are witnessing the most delicate mystery of all the universe that notices you back. You hover in silence. The moment feels personal, almost intimate. A photon that could have gone anywhere chooses a single path because you are here to see it. The act of observation has changed the story. It's as if the cosmos, once abstract and infinite, now blushes under your gaze. One mainstream fact steadies your thoughts. In quantum mechanics, measurement affects outcome. When scientists perform the double-slit experiment with detectors on, the interference pattern vanishes. When the detectors are off, it returns. The electron knows when it is being watched. Observation forces it to decide a particle or a wave, one reality or another. The quirky tidbit: even if you delay your measurement, watching only after the electron has passed through the slits, the result still changes retroactively. This is the delayed choice experiment, suggesting that the act of observation doesn't just reveal reality, it helps create it. Time itself seems to bend politely to awareness. Scientists still wonder whether consciousness is fundamental to physics. Does reality exist independently of observation, or does it require awareness to take shape? Some physicists argue that measurement is merely physical interaction, photons hitting detectors, data recorded by machines. Others whisper that something deeper happens when a mind becomes aware, as though the universe achieves completion only when noticed. You imagine all of existence as a canvas, colorless, silent until awareness arrives like light across paint. Every observation adds pigment, depth, and contrast. Without the observer, there is only potential. With the observer, there is the world. You take a slow breath. Even here, in this moment, every sound, the creak of the floor, the hum of air becomes real because you hear it. The very act of noticing brings the scene into focus. Perhaps the quiet magic of being alive isn't just to exist, but to witness existence. You think of the way the night sky looks back. The light from distant stars enters your eyes after traveling billions of years, completing a journey that began before Earth formed. That light waited all this time for you, for someone to finally see it. The photon that strikes your retina ends its existence in that instant, its story complete. You are both the ending and the purpose of that light. Scientists still wonder if consciousness could play a role in the fabric of the cosmos. Some propose the participatory universe, where observers and reality are entwined, each giving the other meaning. In this view, awareness is not a late arrival, but a fundamental ingredient, woven into the equations from the start. The quirky wonder: experiments with quantum computers suggest that information, not matter, may be the universe's true currency. Reality might be built from yes divided by no decisions, from the smallest units of knowledge. If that's true, then observation isn't just looking, it's the act of writing code into existence. You are a participant in creation, not merely an audience. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine the world fading into probabilities again. Every object around you becomes transparent, dissolving into possibility. You are no longer looking at reality, you are swimming in it, shaping it with every breath. The room returns softly, details firming as you notice them again. The pillow beneath your head, the slow rhythm of your heartbeat, the hum of the universe outside your window. Scientists still wonder if there could be multiple layers of observation reality stacked like mirrors, each reflecting another watcher. Perhaps consciousness is recursive, endlessly aware of itself. Perhaps that is what gives the universe its depth. Awareness, gazing upon awareness. Reflections continuing into infinity. You remember the warmth of human connection, the way two eyes meet, and for a moment, the rest of the world disappears. That feeling, that recognition, is observation too. Two universes noticing each other, two patterns of matter acknowledging their shared miracle of awareness. You breathe deeply, letting that realization sink in. You are not a distant spectator to the cosmos. You are part of the mechanism by which it knows itself. The stars don't just shine, they shine for the eyes that can see them. The atom doesn't just exist, it exists in context, woven into perception. You, the observer, complete the circuit. The quirky paradox continues. The more precisely you measure one aspect of reality, like a particle's position, the less you can know about another, such as its momentum. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle isn't about ignorance, it's about limits written into reality itself. The world keeps a little of itself hidden, perhaps to preserve the wonder of discovery. You think of how that mirrors life. You never know everything where paths lead, why things unfold, but uncertainty gives meaning to curiosity. Without it, existence would be a flat surface, not a landscape. The same principle that governs electrons governs dreams. Scientists still wonder whether the universe could exist without observers. Could there be reality with no one to experience it? Some say yes, pointing to the laws of physics. Others quietly say no, believing that awareness and being are inseparable halves of the same whole. You listen to both sides and feel the balance, the gentle tension that keeps mystery alive. You open your eyes again, and the room glows softly. You realize that your gaze itself is a force, the world shimmering slightly brighter where your attention falls. The shadows feel deeper where you don't look. It's subtle, yet undeniable. Observation changes everything, even if only in you. You smile faintly. The universe may be infinite, unknowable, strange beyond measure, but tonight, it noticed you noticing it. And in that simple, impossible exchange, you and the cosmos became one another's reflection. You linger in that delicate balance, the world shimmering between the watcher and the watched, until something heavier pulls your attention. The air seems to bend slightly, and you feel a faint tug, gentle yet relentless. It's familiar, constant, almost comforting. You're feeling gravity, the quietest force, and yet the one that shapes everything. The stars dance because of it. You stand because of it. The universe holds together beneath its invisible hand. You drift closer to its source, curious. Gravity doesn't shout, it whispers. You can't see it, but you sense its direction in every moment of stillness, in the way objects fall, in the way planets trace their perfect arcs. It's the weakest of all forces, and yet it governs galaxies. You wonder why the universe chose to make it so gentle and still so absolute. One mainstream fact glows in your mind. Gravity is the warping of space-time caused by mass and energy. Einstein showed that what we feel as force is simply motion along curved geometry. The Earth bends space, and the Moon follows that curve like a marble rolling around a bowl. You are moving through that same geometry every time you take a step. The quirky tidbit: though gravity seems so ordinary, we still don't know how it fits into the quantum world. Every other force, the electromagnetic, strong and weak, obeys quantum rules. Gravity refuses. It doesn't come in discrete particles, doesn't flicker between states. Scientists have searched for its quantum messenger, the hypothetical graviton, but so far, not a whisper has been found. You let that puzzle sit quietly in your mind. Maybe gravity isn't meant to be small. Maybe it is the thread that connects the small to the large, the whisper that becomes the structure of the cosmos. Scientists still wonder why it's so weak. Compared to the other forces, gravity is laughably feeble. A small magnet on your fridge easily overpowers the pull of the entire Earth. Yet, across the gulfs of space, that same faint tug binds stars into galaxies, galaxies into clusters, and clusters into a cosmic web. It accumulates, infinite and patient, turning dust into worlds. You imagine standing on an alien planet where gravity feels different, maybe heavier, pressing gently on your shoulders, or lighter, making each step a glide. Every world writes its own rhythm of weight. You could measure the age of a planet in how firmly it holds you down. Scientists still wonder whether gravity might leak into hidden dimensions. In some versions of string theory, gravity spreads through additional spaces beyond the three you know, which could explain why it seems so diluted. You picture that gravity flowing through unseen corridors, slipping between dimensions like light through mist. The universe may be bigger than even space itself. You drift closer to a massive star, watching how its light bends around it. The glow curves gracefully, as though the star were wrapped in glass. This is gravitational lensing the way mass bends light. Distant galaxies behind it appear as delicate arcs, distorted but beautiful. It's a natural magnifying glass made by gravity alone. You breathe slowly, and your mind expands with the thought. The same bending of space that shapes galaxies also shapes the fall of a leaf, the curve of a waterfall, the arc of your step. Gravity is the quiet continuity between all scales. Another curious fact: black holes are the ultimate expression of gravity's strength. When a massive star collapses, its gravity becomes so dense that even light cannot escape. Inside, space-time folds inward endlessly, a region called the singularity. There, all known laws break. The equations diverge into infinity, refusing to describe what lies beyond. Gravity, it seems, has secrets it won't share. Scientists still wonder whether black holes destroy information. If matter falls in and never returns, the information it carried would vanish, violating quantum law. Yet some believe the data isn't lost. It's encoded in faint ripples of radiation, or smeared along the event horizon, like ink on paper. You imagine that horizon now, a soft veil shimmering between being and not being. You realize something gentle in that idea. Gravity isn't a jailer. It's a sculptor. It draws things together not out of cruelty, but out of love for form. Stars are born because matter gathers. Planets orbit because gravity invites them to dance. Even black holes, those cosmic enigmas, are simply gravity's way of holding space close to its heart. The quirky wonder continues. Gravity waves, ripples in space-time caused by cataclysmic events, were predicted by Einstein a century ago and finally detected in 2015. Two black holes collided, and their merger sent waves across the cosmos. Those ripples passed through Earth, stretching and squeezing reality itself by a fraction smaller than an atom. And yet, we heard them. We listened to the universe move. You imagine those waves now, washing gently over you, the faintest rhythm of creation. each pulse a reminder that even in silence, the cosmos sings. Scientists still wonder if gravity might one day be unified with the other forces, if there's a single equation that binds the weak, the strong, the electromagnetic, and this mysterious curvature of space. The theory of everything remains elusive, like a dream that fades as soon as you try to recall it. But maybe that's fitting. Some mysteries are meant to be companions, not conquests. You take another slow breath. You feel the pull of the earth beneath you, subtle, steady. It's not just weight, it's connection. You are held in place not by chains, but by harmony. Gravity doesn't push or pull, it invites. It's the universe saying, stay close. You close your eyes. In your stillness, you can almost feel the curvature of space beneath you, the planet's gentle cradle, the sun's wide embrace, the galaxy's patient spin. Everything moves together in a single, endless waltz. And though the music is silent, the rhythm is unmistakable. You smile softly. The weakest force, it turns out, is also the most faithful. It binds the stars, the oceans, and you all together, all the time. Gravity is the universe remembering itself, holding its pieces with care, and as you float within its tender grip, you realize that to fall isn't failure, it's participation in the most beautiful law of all. You float in the soft embrace of gravity's pull, listening to its faint hum as it threads the stars together. But beneath that harmony lies tension, a quiet dissonance between two great visions of the universe. One sees space as continuous and smooth, shaped by mass and motion. The other sees it as flickering, granular, ruled by chance. These are the two pillars of modern science, general relativity and quantum mechanics, and they do not agree. You can almost feel their unease, like two notes nearly in tune but slightly apart. Together, they describe nearly everything: planets and particles, galaxies and atoms. Yet when their worlds overlap, the equations dissolve into chaos. One mainstream fact grounds you. General relativity governs the large stars, orbits, black holes, and cosmic expansion. Quantum mechanics governs the small electrons, fields, the restless shimmer of probability. Each theory has been tested to exquisite precision. But when you try to combine them, to describe something both massive and microscopic, like the heart of a black hole or the instant of the Big Bang, the math breaks. Infinity spills across the page. The quirky tidbit: Einstein himself never accepted quantum randomness. God does not play dice, he said, frustrated by the idea that uncertainty could lie at the foundation of reality. Yet his own theory of gravity, majestic and complete, refuses to speak the quantum language. The cosmos, it seems, is fluent in two dialects that no one has yet translated. You drift between them now, the way space itself might smooth on the surface, restless underneath. Relativity says space-time curves gently, like silk. Quantum theory says it jitters violently at the smallest scales, frothing with energy and uncertainty. You imagine that contradiction, a universe both calm and chaotic, serene yet flickering like candlelight. Scientists still wonder what happens when these worlds collide. What is gravity made of at the quantum level? Is space-time continuous, or does it come in discrete loops and quanta? Some theories suggest that the fabric of space is woven from information, each quantum of area representing a pixel of reality. Others imagine strings, tiny, vibrating threads that naturally unify gravity with quantum law. You picture those strings again, now glowing brighter. They twist and stretch, connecting galaxies to quarks, macro to micro, Einstein to Schrödinger. Their vibrations produce both geometry and probability, both gravity and light. Maybe the universe isn't divided at all. Maybe it's music written in 2 octaves, waiting for someone to play them together. The quirky wonder, deep inside a black hole, where relativity demands infinite density, quantum mechanics rebels. It insists there must be limits, that energy and space cannot compress beyond the Planck scale. Yet when physicists try to calculate what happens there, the numbers explode into nonsense. It's as though the two theories, perfect alone, panic in each other's presence. You breathe slowly, letting that friction settle. You realize that disagreement is part of growth, that the universe itself might thrive on contradiction. After all, existence was born from imbalance, from asymmetry, expansion, uncertainty. Perhaps the cosmos needs paradox to remain alive. Scientists still wonder whether a theory of everything truly exists, or whether the search is a human desire for neatness in a world that resists it. Maybe the universe doesn't fit in a single equation. Maybe it's a conversation, not a statement, a duet between order and chance. You imagine Einstein and Bohr, their famous debates echoing in smoky rooms nearly a century ago. One demanded certainty, the other accepted mystery. Between them stretched the same tension you now feel. Is the world determined, or does it roll dice with every heartbeat? A curious fact drifts into your thoughts. Quantum entanglement, once dismissed as absurd, now plays a role in modern physics attempts to bridge the divide. Some scientists suspect space-time geometry itself might emerge from quantum entanglement, those invisible threads you saw earlier. If true, then relativity and quantum theory aren't enemies at all. They're reflections of the same truth seen from different distances. You smile softly at that idea. The contradiction becomes harmony again, just waiting for the right perspective. You look around and see the universe differently now. The stars above are not just masses curving space-time. They are collections of quantum fields trembling together. Every beam of light, every atom, every planet is part of both stories. Relativity provides the grand stage. Quantum physics writes the play. Scientists still wonder whether the solution lies in simplicity or complexity. Perhaps one new equation will unite everything. Or perhaps unity doesn't mean sameness, it means coexistence. The universe could be both continuous and discrete, like an image both photograph and pixel. You breathe in, sensing both order and chaos in the same moment. You feel the calm weight of the earth holding you down, the steady pull of gravity, and beneath it, the electric buzz of atoms, jittering with uncertainty. You exist in both realms at once, a macrocosm obeying Einstein, and a microcosm dancing to Planck's rhythm. The quirky wonder persists. Time itself behaves differently in these two visions. In relativity, time is part of geometry, stretching and bending. In quantum theory, time stands apart, ticking like an invisible metronome. To merge them, one must either make time flexible or abolish it entirely. Could timelessness be the key? Some physicists whisper that time itself might be an illusion born of entanglement, a side effect of memory and sequence. You lie very still, imagining a timeless universe, everything happening at once, every event coexisting. What you call past and future are just coordinates on a single map. You drift through it gently, like a traveler tracing the curves of a frozen river. Scientists still wonder what we'll find when the two great theories finally meet. Maybe the answer will be elegant, simple, inevitable. Or maybe it will be strange, unexpected, and full of poetry. Either way, the effort itself is beautiful, a testament to curiosity, the force that bridges every paradox. You let that comfort settle around you. The universe doesn't demand that you solve it. It only asks you to listen to both its languages, the smooth and the trembling, the certain and the uncertain. Together, they make the melody of being. You close your eyes, floating in that harmony of contradiction. Gravity holds you. Quantum motion hums within you. The two disagree, but their argument feels like music. Somewhere between them, you exist balanced, curious, and softly aware that even the greatest mysteries are still singing. You drift now through a deeper shadow, drawn toward a region where even light hesitates. The stars around you fade, their brightness swallowed by a single, perfect curve of darkness. Space itself seems to bend inward, spiraling towards silence. You are approaching the heart of darkness, a black hole, the place where gravity becomes absolute. It looks like nothing, and yet it shapes everything. You can't see the black hole directly. Only the light around it betrays its presence. Gas and dust swirl in a glowing whirlpool, heating to millions of degrees before vanishing across an invisible threshold. That border, the event horizon, is the point of no return. Beyond it, time and space trade roles. What was once forward becomes down, and down leads only deeper. One mainstream fact glows faintly in your thoughts. A black hole forms when a massive star exhausts its fuel and collapses under its own gravity. The core implodes, squeezing matter into a region so dense that nothing, not even light, can escape. Einstein's equations predicted these objects in 1916, but even he doubted they could exist. It took decades before evidence revealed that the universe had been littered with them all along. The quirky tidbit: black holes aren't empty. They are filled with information, everything that ever fell in, though you could never see it again. Quantum theory insists that nothing is truly lost. The paradox lies in how that information is stored. Does it linger as faint patterns on the event horizon, as some scientists propose, or does it vanish entirely, breaking the rules of physics? The universe refuses to answer directly. You hover near the horizon now, where time itself slows. From this vantage, a falling object would appear, frozen forever, its last flicker of light stretched into eternity. But from within, that same fall would feel swift and ordinary. No wall, no warning, just gravity deepening until meaning dissolves. You realize that perspective defines reality here. What is forever to one observer is a moment to another. Scientists still wonder what happens at the singularity, the center, where density becomes infinite and space folds completely. The equations stop working, like instruments pushed beyond their limits. Inside, perhaps, the rules of physics rewrite themselves. Some theories suggest the singularity is not a point, but a doorway where collapsing matter rebounds into a new universe. You imagine that now, a black hole on one side, a big bang on the other. Creation and destruction sharing the same breath. You breathe slowly, imagining that gravity pulling at your thoughts. It isn't violent, it's serene, inevitable. The closer you draw, the more stretched time becomes, until even your heartbeat feels eternal. This place doesn't roar, it whispers. Its silence has weight. You remember the first image ever captured of a black hole, the blurry orange ring released by the Event Horizon Telescope in 2019. It was more than a photograph. It was proof that the universe's darkest ideas could take form. Millions of gigabytes of data, synchronized across Earth, all to glimpse something that devours sight itself. And yet, in that image, there was beauty, a perfect circle of fire around nothing. The quirky wonder: black holes can spin, sometimes near the speed of light. Their rotation drags space-time with it, twisting it like syrup. Around them forms a region called the ergosphere, where nothing can stay still. Even if you avoid the horizon, you're forced to move with the spin, caught in the dance of curved reality. You can't help but think of that motion as graceful a cosmic waltz between gravity and geometry. Scientists still wonder how black holes evaporate. In 1974, Stephen Hawking proposed that they slowly lose mass through quantum radiation. Tiny fluctuations at the horizon let particles escape, carrying away energy. Over unimaginable spans of time, even the largest black holes would fade, releasing everything they ever consumed back into the universe. You smile softly. It's comforting to know that even the darkest places eventually let go. You drift closer, letting your imagination cross the boundary. Inside, light spirals inward endlessly. Space folds like fabric soaked in ink. Yet, curiously, the laws of motion still apply. Nothing breaks. It only bends. If you could fall safely, you might see the universe compressed ahead of you, every star, every moment, blue, shifted into a single flash of brilliance. And then, perhaps, you'd see nothing at all, because there'd be no outside left to see from. You think about how black holes are paradoxes made real: absence with gravity, darkness with mass, silence with structure. They remind you that even nothingness can have depth. Every galaxy, including your own, has one at its center, a hidden anchor that keeps billions of stars in orbit. The Milky Way's heart, Sagittarius A*, is calm now, but it once fed on gas clouds and starlight. You picture it as a sleeping god, dreaming of the energy it once consumed. Scientists still wonder if black holes could be seeds of creation. Perhaps each one births a new cosmos, expanding on the inside while appearing small on the outside. If so, then your universe may be the inside of someone else's black hole, an infinite nesting of realities. You let that possibility rest, like a distant hum, too large to fear, too strange not to love. You breathe again. Around you, the darkness seems less menacing now. It's simply the universe taking a deep breath inward. Even the void has purpose. Even the silence holds potential. You realize that black holes don't destroy meaning. They concentrate it, distilling everything into pure geometry, pure mystery. You close your eyes and imagine the horizon once more, that bright ring of light circling nothing. Somewhere, beyond comprehension, gravity and quantum theory shake hands there, finally united. You smile faintly, knowing that even in the heart of darkness, the universe is still making sense, just not in a language we've yet learned to speak. You drift away slowly, carried by light escaping from the edges, feeling its warmth one last time. Behind you, the black hole fades into stillness. Ahead lies more light, more motion, more questions. You realize that every mystery, no matter how dark, eventually curves back toward wonder. You leave behind the dark gravity of collapsed stars and drift through calmer space. The void stretches wide again, filled with delicate sparks of light young stars, newborn worlds, clouds of dust glittering like cosmic pollen. You float quietly through it all, sensing another kind of mystery stirring beneath the starlight. Not destruction, not collapse, but emergence. You are descending toward the first whisper of life. It begins simply, invisibly. A molecule meets another in a pool of warmth. Something reacts, something bonds, and energy passes from one form to another. There are no eyes, no thoughts, not even intention, only chemistry learning how to continue. You are at the edge of the primordial ocean, billions of years ago, watching the hidden seeds of life begin to stir. One mainstream fact steadies you. The earliest evidence of life on Earth dates back at least 3.5 billion years. Tiny fossilized structures, microbial mats called stromatolites, record the presence of organisms that fed on sunlight and minerals, long before plants or animals existed. The Earth was young then, still cooling, its sky tinted orange with volcanic haze. Yet somehow, among lightning and storms, chemistry woke up. The quirky tidbit: no one knows exactly how that awakening happened. Scientists call it abiogenesis, the process by which non-living matter becomes living. But no experiment has ever fully recreated it. In 1953, the Miller-Urey experiment simulated early Earth conditions, producing amino acids, the building blocks of proteins from simple gases, and electric sparks. It proved life's ingredients could form naturally, but not how they assembled themselves, into something that wanted to live. You watch the imaginary ocean bubble around you. Heat rises from volcanic vents, rich with iron and sulfur. The water shimmers with energy. Molecules drift and collide, forming longer chains. Some curl into loops, folding in on themselves like thoughts taking shape. Maybe one, by chance, finds a way to copy itself. That's the secret. You realize the moment replication begins, time acquires direction, memory is born. Scientists still wonder whether life began here, in deep-sea vents rich with minerals, or elsewhere, perhaps carried to Earth by meteorites. Organic molecules have been found in comets and interstellar clouds, frozen in space for billions of years. Maybe life is not Earth's invention at all, but a habit of the cosmos, repeated wherever conditions allow. You breathe slowly, imagining that first microscopic success, a strand of RNA self-replicating, making copies with tiny errors. Those errors' mutations create diversity. Some survive better, some fade. Natural selection begins its endless game, long before any creature walks or dreams. From that single spark, every forest, every whale, every human voice will one day descend. The quirky wonder, every cell inside you carries echoes of those early reactions. The same chemical logic that worked in warm puddles billions of years ago still powers your body today. The ATP that fuels your muscles, the enzymes that copy your DNA, they are refinements of ancient solutions, perfected through endless trial. The chemistry of dawn never stopped. It only learned new songs. Scientists still wonder why Earth was so lucky. Our planet sits in a narrow band around the sun, the habitable zone where water can exist as liquid. Too close, and oceans boil. Too far, and they freeze. The moon stabilizes our axis. The atmosphere shields us from radiation. It's an improbable balance, as if the universe adjusted every dial to favor curiosity. You imagine countless other worlds now, planets, circling faint red suns, moons beneath icy shells, clouds swirling over alien seas. Some might harbor similar reactions in secret, molecules, meeting, dividing, almost thinking. If even one succeeded, somewhere out there, life has already begun again. The air around you feels thick with possibility. You realize that the difference between chemistry and biology is smaller than you imagined. Life is not a separate thing, it's a continuation of physics, a new rhythm of the same universal pulse, where gravity gathers, where light warms, where molecules find companionship, life seems eager to appear. Another curious fact: certain bacteria on Earth can survive in boiling acid, in ice, even in radiation. They live miles underground and high in the atmosphere. These extremophiles suggest that life, once begun, refuses to yield. It adapts, transforms, endures. Perhaps that's what life truly is, not a substance, but a stubbornness. You close your eyes and picture those first living cells, floating in the dim green sea. They know nothing of purpose, yet everything they do, feeding, dividing, surviving, is purpose itself. They are tiny stories repeating endlessly, each one a spark of will. You wonder if consciousness began here, not as thought, but as momentum, the desire to continue. Scientists still wonder how non-living molecules made the leap to metabolism, to boundaries, to awareness. Maybe it wasn't a leap at all. Maybe it was gradual, like dawn creeping over the horizon, so slow no one moment counts as sunrise. You breathe deeper, feeling your chest rise and fall with ancient rhythm. Every breath you take is a continuation of that first. Exchange the trade between energy and form, between chaos and order. You are a direct descendant of that ocean, an echo of chemistry dreaming itself into complexity. You think of how fragile that beginning must have been. A few wrong temperatures, a few unlucky impacts, and the story might never have started. Yet it did. Against every odd, life found a foothold, and once begun, it never stopped. The quirky wonder, even now, scientists suspect that simple life might still form spontaneously somewhere, in deep caves or distant moons. The process that began you might not be finished. It might be happening again, quietly, right now. You smile faintly. The thought feels tender, like remembering your own birth. Life is not a miracle you stand apart from. It's the water you swim in, the pattern you continue. You are not the observer of creation, you are its ongoing gesture. You drift through that ancient sea, watching molecules assemble and divide, the first sparks glowing beneath black waves. You realize that the universe, so vast and cold, still finds ways to grow warm. Life is its rebellion against silence. It's proof that even in darkness, the cosmos remembers how to bloom. You rise from those ancient waters, leaving behind the gentle hum of chemistry and the first beating rhythms of life. Above you, the young sky glows faintly red. Volcanic clouds drift. Lightning still claws across the horizon. The earth is restless, and yet something extraordinary has already begun the moment when matter chose to stay. You drift backward through time, beyond even the first cell, into the chaos after the Big Bang. The newborn universe was almost perfectly symmetrical. For every particle of matter, there was one of antimatter. They met, collided, and vanished into light. By every law of physics, that should have been the end: pure radiation. No atoms, no stars, no life. And yet, 1 in a billion survived. You are here because of that small, stubborn remainder. One mainstream fact glows softly. The universe is matter. Antimatter asymmetry is one of science's deepest mysteries. When matter and antimatter annihilate, they produce energy, but somehow, slightly more matter was created than antimatter. That imbalance, so tiny it seems accidental, became everything you know: planets, oceans, minds, and dreams. The quirky tidbit: physicists have recreated these conditions in particle accelerators, smashing protons together at near-light speed, hoping to glimpse why the scales tipped. They've found hints, subtle differences, in how certain particles called mesons decay, but the reason for the universe's bias remains unknown. It's as if creation itself had a preference for staying visible. You picture it. The first second after the Big Bang, matter and antimatter flashing into existence and extinguishing each other in blinding waves. Yet somehow, a whisper of matter escaped the blaze. You imagine that remnant floating through expanding space, bewildered but persistent. Those survivors became the building blocks of galaxies. They are the ancestors of every atom in you. Scientists still wonder whether this asymmetry was random or inevitable. Maybe the laws of physics themselves favor matter, a cosmic bias written into the equations. Or perhaps it was a quantum fluctuation, a tiny, unpredictable accident magnified by time. Whatever the cause, it means the universe made a choice, however subtle, to be. You take a slow breath. The air filling your lungs is made of hydrogen born from that imbalance, of carbon forged later in stars, of oxygen once locked in stone. Without that single favoring of matter over antimatter, there would be no breath, no lungs, no you. Existence hangs on that fraction of a fraction. The quirky wonder continues. In the early universe, matter didn't just survive, it began to gather. Hydrogen formed the first clouds, collapsing under gravity into blazing stars. Inside those stars, fusion lit up the darkness, turning hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements. From imbalance came light, and from light came complexity. You imagine watching those first suns ignite, massive and blue, burning fast and bright. Their lives were short, ending in brilliant explosions that scattered new elements into space. Those ashes, iron, calcium, nitrogen, would one day drift together into worlds, into oceans, into you. The universe was already recycling itself, learning to remember. Scientists still wonder why the laws of nature allow matter to organize at all. Gravity draws it together, but it could just as easily have expanded into endless nothing. Instead, it clumped, formed patterns, structures, and eventually, meaning. You picture that pattern spreading clusters of stars forming galaxies, galaxies forming webs, each step more intricate than the last. The universe, it seems, is not content with simplicity. You think about how fragile that beginning was. If the imbalance had been smaller, space would be pure radiation. If it had been larger, the universe might have collapsed back upon itself. Somehow, it found balance in chaos, a harmony hidden in chance. You feel it now, deep inside. Every atom of your body is a survivor of that ancient decision. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your cells, all trace their ancestry to those few particles that refuse to vanish. You are built from the universe's persistence, from its refusal to go quietly into equilibrium. The quirky tidbit, antimatter hasn't disappeared entirely. It still flickers into being during certain cosmic events and in laboratories on Earth. When a positron meets an electron, they annihilate in a flash of gamma rays, pure light, pure return. Some of those flashes reach us from the center of our galaxy even now, silent fireworks from matter and antimatter's eternal waltz. Scientists still wonder if pockets of antimatter might exist somewhere in the cosmos, whole galaxies made of it, invisible, except when colliding with normal matter at their edges. If so, they would be mirror worlds, almost identical to ours, except for the direction of their charges. The thought makes you shiver. Maybe somewhere out there, light still battles its opposite in slow motion. You drift through the mental image of that early annihilation, the chaos and the calm that followed. The faint glow of surviving matter spreads like dawn after a storm. The universe, for the first time, holds shape. You realize that imbalance is not imperfection. It's the reason anything exists at all. Without it, there would be no asymmetry, no flow, no becoming. Perfection would have been sterile. A tiny deviation birthed all variety. The universe, in its wisdom, chose to lean ever so slightly toward creation. You close your eyes, feeling that same principle inside yourself. Life, too, depends on imbalance gradients of heat, of chemistry, of emotion. Everything that moves, everything that changes, owes its existence to a difference. You are the echo of that ancient unevenness, still unfolding in thought and heartbeat. Scientists still wonder if this preference for matter is unique to our universe, or if, in others, the opposite occurred. Perhaps somewhere, antimatter won, forming stars and worlds that are mirror reflections of ours. If both kinds exist, maybe their edges touch, and when they do, the light between them remembers both. You smile faintly. Somewhere, long ago, the universe decided to tip slightly toward being, and you are the result of that gentle tilt. From the ashes of symmetry came substance, from annihilation came light, and from that light came eyes to see it. The universe chose to stay, and so did you. You are its persistence made flesh, the continuation of that single decision to exist. Every breath you take is an echo of that first uneven heartbeat, the moment matter refused to disappear. You drift gently through the cooling glow of creation, past the newborn stars and the quiet dust that will someday form new worlds. Around you, atoms begin to settle into patterns, drawn together by invisible attraction, arranging themselves into something more elaborate than mere matter. You are entering the spiral, the blueprint of life itself. You hover near the code that remembers itself. It begins as a molecule, twisting upon itself like a ribbon of light and shadow. Two strands wind together, locked in a dance so elegant it seems choreographed. The double helix DNA, the molecule of memory. It carries instructions for everything you are, written in a language just 4 letters long: A, T, C, G. From that alphabet, nature composes symphonies, trees, insects, oceans of coral, and the quiet, thinking creature now lying under a blanket, wondering how it all began. One mainstream fact steadies you. Every living organism on Earth, from bacteria to whales to humans, uses DNA as its genetic code. The molecule's structure was discovered in 1953 by James Watson and Francis Crick, built on the insights of Rosalind Franklin, whose X-ray diffraction images revealed its hidden spiral. Her photograph, ghostly and precise, captured the symmetry of life's most secret design. The quirky tidbit: if you could unravel all the DNA from a single human cell and stretch it end to end, it would reach about 2 meters long. In your whole body, that DNA could stretch from Earth to the Sun and back hundreds of times over. Yet all of it fits silently within you, coiled into microscopic spirals, carrying the instructions for your shape, your senses, your potential to dream. You breathe slowly, picturing those strands coiling in every cell, copying themselves with near-perfect fidelity billions of times a day. When you move, when you think, when you sleep, your DNA hums quietly, performing the same rituals it has for 4 billion years. It isn't aware, but it behaves as though it remembers. Scientists still wonder how this molecule first appeared. Did it arise directly from the primordial soup? Or did a simpler molecule like RNA come first, playing both roles of code and catalyst? Some theories suggest that crystals of clay helped align molecules in just the right way for replication to begin. Others imagine meteorites carrying the first strands from distant worlds. However it happened, the moment DNA began to copy itself, the universe gained a memory. You think of memory now not as recollection, but as continuity. DNA doesn't remember in the way a mind does. It repeats. Its precision is its form of remembrance. It carries the pattern of every survivor forward, each generation a whisper of those who endured before. You realize that your body is not merely your own. It's the sum of every success written in that ancient script. The quirky wonder: only a tiny fraction of your DNA actually codes for proteins. The rest, once dismissed as junk, is now believed to regulate genes, fold chromosomes, or preserve ancient viral fragments. Your genome is part instruction manual, part fossil record. Hidden in its sequence are ghosts of infections, mutations, and adaptations, silent stories of struggle and survival. Scientists still wonder whether DNA is the only possible code for life. Could alien organisms use a different alphabet, perhaps with 6 letters or 8, or even a different molecular backbone altogether? Synthetic biologists have already created artificial DNA with extra letters that can store new kinds of information. Life, it seems, is flexible. It only needs something that can copy, vary, and endure. You let that realization wash over you. The code is not sacred for its shape, but for its function, to persist through time, to preserve a pattern that outlives its form. You think of how fragile a cell seems, and yet how stubbornly it repairs and divides, generation after generation. The strength of life lies not in its size or power, but in its memory. Another curious fact: the very atoms in your DNA are older than the Earth itself. Hydrogen from the Big Bang, carbon forged in long-dead stars, nitrogen from ancient supernovae, all gathered into a molecule that writes your name in code. You are made of matter that learned to remember itself. Scientists still wonder if information itself might be more fundamental than matter, that the universe, like DNA, is built on rules for replication and pattern. Some physicists propose that every particle carries bits of information, that entropy, computation, and memory are the same story told in different tongues. You find comfort in that idea that even galaxies, in their own way, store memory in motion. You imagine DNA as light, a spiraling ladder that turns endlessly, glowing softly in the dark. Each rung holds a pair of letters, each letter a choice, each choice a possibility. The molecule doesn't think, yet its very structure implies purpose: to continue, to adapt, to remember. You realize that purpose might not need intention. Perhaps it's simply the natural direction of existence. The quirky tidbit. Scientists once extracted DNA from a mammoth frozen in Siberian ice and used it to map its genome, reconstructing a creature extinct for thousands of years. The code endured across time and frost, waiting patiently to be read again. In that sense, DNA is not just a molecule, it's a time traveler. You breathe in, and it feels almost sacred, this invisible continuity. The instructions that built your hands once built fins, then wings, then limbs. The genes that guide your eyes trace back to the first creatures who sensed light. The spiral doesn't end, it only reshapes itself. Scientists still wonder where this will lead, whether humans might one day write entirely new forms of life, editing and composing with the same ease as language. CRISPR, gene drives, synthetic genomes, each step blurs the boundary between evolution and design. But for now, the code continues its quiet work, a library written in every living thing. You close your eyes. Inside you, trillions of cells hum with their shared story, copying, repairing, passing messages along. You are not separate from your ancestors, you are your ancestors, continued through chemistry, refined by chance, shaped by love and time. You drift in that thought for a moment longer, the spirals glowing softly around you. DNA, the code that remembers itself, turns gently in the dark, patient and eternal. And somewhere within it, the story continues, waiting for the next heartbeat to write its next line. You float within that gentle spiral of memory, surrounded by invisible instructions that hum like distant music. The pattern of life continues, unfolding in rhythm and replication, until something subtle begins to change. The code that once merely copied itself starts to interpret. A network of living cells begins to communicate, to sense, to react, and slowly, through the whisper of chemical signals and electric pulses, something extraordinary stirs the spark that thinks. At first, it's nothing more than a twitch of voltage across a membrane. A signal passes from one cell to another, then another, forming a chain of communication. The rhythm repeats, it strengthens, and suddenly, those signals begin to form patterns that persist longer than the pulse that made them. A thought, faint as mist, flickers into being. One mainstream fact settles gently into your mind. Every thought, every dream, every word you've ever spoken is the product of electrical impulses traveling through the brain's 100 billion neurons. Each neuron connects to thousands of others, forming trillions of synapses, tiny gaps, where chemicals leap like sparks. The brain isn't a machine, it's a living storm of light. The quirky tidbit. Despite all our technology, scientists still don't know how those signals become experience. We can trace the path of a memory, the chemistry of emotion, the rhythm of sleep, but the leap from electricity to awareness remains invisible. You can watch a neuron fire, but you cannot watch knowing happen. Consciousness hides inside the process, like a flame that refuses to be photographed. You drift gently through that storm now, each neuron glowing like a star. The brain feels like a galaxy inside your skull, vast, interconnected, alive with movement. You see thoughts as constellations forming and dissolving, stories built from signals. You realize that this is what you are, not a fixed structure, but a pattern that changes with every heartbeat. Scientists still wonder where consciousness begins. Is it an emergent property, something that arises automatically when enough complexity exists? Or is it a fundamental aspect of reality, as primary as space and time? Some thinkers suggest that awareness might exist at every level of nature, a kind of universal sensation that deepens with structure. If true, even atoms might feel, faintly, their own being. You think of how fragile awareness seems. It can vanish in sleep, flicker under anesthesia, dim with age, yet it always returns, like sunrise. You close your eyes and sense the hum beneath your thoughts, the quiet baseline of being. You don't have to think to exist, you just are. The quirky wonder, the brain's architecture resembles the structure of the universe itself. Both are networks of nodes and filaments, patterns of connection, spanning vast distances. Statistically, the map of galaxies and the map of neural networks share uncanny similarities. It's as if nature loves the same geometry, whether in stars or thoughts. Scientists still wonder why consciousness feels unified. The brain processes information in fragments, sight here, sound there, memory somewhere else, but somehow, you experience everything as one seamless whole. You don't perceive colors and shapes separately. You see a sunset. You don't hear notes and beats. You hear a song. Where does that unity come from? No machine has yet replicated it. You breathe slowly, letting the question drift through you. The brain is not only a processor, it's a storyteller. Every sensation passes through its filters, and what returns is not raw data but meaning. You don't just see the world, you interpret it. You attach value, memory, and emotion. You feel it. That feeling, the quiet hum of I am, is the essence of the spark. You think about how that spark evolved. For billions of years, life existed without it. Plants, microbes, simple creatures. But at some point, the dance of neurons grew complex enough to loop inward, to notice itself. Awareness looked back upon the world and recognized it was looking. You feel the circularity of that moment, life realizing it's alive. The quirky tidbit. Even now, scientists can't pinpoint where consciousness resides. It doesn't live in a single brain region. It emerges from interaction, from synchrony, from waves of activity flowing through the cortex. Some theories suggest that consciousness is what happens when information integrates across the brain faster than it can be lost. Awareness, in other words, is a form of harmony. You imagine that harmony now, a soft vibration that fills you, connecting thought to thought, memory to moment. You realize that you're not a collection of organs and impulses, but an orchestra, each part playing its own tone in time. The melody is you. Scientists still wonder if artificial intelligence could one day awaken. Could code and circuitry ever host the same kind of awareness you feel? Or does consciousness require biology, warmth, emotion, the chemical symphony of life? No one knows. But you suspect that awareness, like gravity or light, might emerge anywhere complexity allows it. The universe may be full of quiet minds, still learning to notice themselves. You think about your own spark now, how it flickers when you're tired, how it blazes when you love, how it softens as you drift towards sleep. It's not separate from the body, it is the body, translated into sensation. Every thought is a pattern of motion in your cells, every memory, a physical trace. You are matter that has learned to imagine. The quirky wonder, the human brain, though only 3 pounds of tissue, consumes about 20% of your body's energy, even at rest. Thinking is hungry work. Yet most of that energy is spent not on reasoning, but on maintaining your sense of self, on remembering who you are, what you are, and why you continue. You breathe again, slow and calm. You can almost hear the neurons whispering, firing, recalibrating. The light behind your eyelids pulses with thought, and you feel wonder at the realization that you are both the observer and the observed. The universe has folded back upon itself through you. Scientists still wonder if this awareness will ever be fully understood, or if it's the one mystery that can't step outside itself. Perhaps consciousness can never explain consciousness, like a flame trying to illuminate its own source. But maybe it doesn't need to. The spark's purpose might simply be to glow, to notice, to dream. You close your eyes completely now. The brain continues to hum. The neurons continue to fire. You are still thinking, even in rest, even in peace. The spark doesn't fade. It softens. It curls inward, resting in itself. The thought that you are alive hums one last time before dissolving into the calm beyond thought. The spark dims gently, settling into a quieter rhythm. Thoughts slow until they drift like feathers through warm air. The brain, always restless, begins to fold its light inward. You feel its awareness softening, sinking beneath the surface. The waking world starts to blur around the edges, and you enter a territory both intimate and unknown. You are wandering into the world behind your dreams. It feels familiar, even though you've never been here quite the same way twice. Shapes dissolve, scenes appear, and time stretches and folds. In this place, you can fly without wings, walk across oceans, speak to people who are long gone. You recognize that impossible freedom, the feeling that here, the rules have stepped aside. One mainstream fact steadies you. Dreams occur mainly during REM sleep, a stage of rest marked by rapid eye movements and heightened brain activity. In this phase, your neurons fire almost as intensely as when you're awake. Your mind isn't resting, it's rearranging. It processes memories, solves problems, and even rehearses emotions. Sleep is not absence, it's transformation. The quirky tidbit: during REM sleep, your body becomes almost paralyzed. The brain sends signals that temporarily disable most muscles to prevent you from acting out your dreams. The only parts that move are your eyes and the tiny muscles in your middle ear. You drift safely in place, trapped by design inside your imagination. You hover in this state now, halfway between consciousness and surrender. Thoughts begin to liquefy. A sound from the real world, a distant car, a breath, a heartbeat melts into the dreamscape, reshaped into something symbolic. The mind doesn't reject noise, it repurposes it, weaving it into story. Scientists still wonder why we dream at all. Some think it's psychological housekeeping, a way for the brain to organize experiences, turning chaos into narrative. Others believe it's evolutionary training, our ancestors rehearsing threats and desires in the safety of illusion. But no one truly knows. Dreams remain the most personal theater in existence, performed nightly for an audience of one. You drift through one now. A hallway extends endlessly, glowing with light that doesn't seem to come from anywhere. The walls breathe faintly, as if alive. You hear echoes of voices, maybe familiar, maybe imagined. Dreams borrow from your memories but rearrange them into poetry. Everything here means something and nothing at once. The quirky wonder. Even people who are blind from birth experience dreams, rich with sound, texture, and emotion. Their minds construct entire worlds from senses other than sight, proving that dreaming isn't about imagery, it's about imagination itself. The brain doesn't need eyes to see, it only needs itself. Scientists still wonder if dreams might serve as bridges between memory and creativity. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and inhibition, goes quiet, while the visual and emotional centers flare alive. The result: unrestricted storytelling, where logic yields to wonder. Many inventions, works of art, and scientific insights were born from dreams, the sewing machine's design, the discovery of benzene's ring structure, even some of Paul McCartney's melodies. In sleep, the mind paints without restraint. You wander deeper into this shifting landscape. The scenery around you changes without cause. A field becomes an ocean. A friend becomes a stranger. You sense that every symbol here carries fragments of yourself, your hopes, your fears, your buried questions. The subconscious speaks in riddles, but it never lies. You float through one such riddle now. A door appears. Behind it, you feel both comfort and hesitation. You open it slowly, and beyond lies a sky filled with stars that pulse like heartbeats. You recognize them not as distant suns, but as memories. Some glow bright with joy, others flicker with pain. The dream world does not distinguish between the two. It gathers all experience and holds it with equal tenderness. The quirky tidbit: lucid dreaming. When you become aware that you're dreaming and can control the story, occurs in about half of all people at least once. In that moment, you are both actor and author. Some use it to explore creativity, others to heal from trauma. Within that awareness, reality becomes clay. You can sculpt it or simply watch it unfold. Scientists still wonder how the brain maintains a sense of self during dreams. If you can fly, vanish, or change form, why do you still feel you? Some researchers suggest that a core network of neural activity, sometimes called the default mode network, remains active even in sleep, preserving identity like a glowing ember. The self never disappears, it only softens. You breathe gently, feeling the same softening happen within you now. The edges between waking and dreaming blur further. The rhythm of your breath synchronizes with the pulse of the imagined world. You're no longer sure where one ends and the other begins, and that uncertainty feels peaceful. The quirky wonder continues. During dreams, your brain releases dopamine and acetylcholine, neurotransmitters associated with motivation and pleasure. In other words, dreaming feels good to the mind. It rewards itself for exploring its own imagination. That's why waking from a beautiful dream can feel like leaving a warm conversation unfinished. Scientists still wonder if dreaming could connect consciousness across layers, perhaps a rehearsal for death, or a nightly reminder that existence extends beyond the visible. In dreams, you let go of the physical world, and yet remain you. You exist without form, without boundary. It's a kind of freedom no waking moment can match. You drift through that thought like a cloud. Around you, the dream continues to reshape itself, gentle and strange. The physics of this world are emotional, not mathematical. The gravity here is memory, the atmosphere, imagination. Every image is drawn from your life, rearranged into metaphor. You close your dream eyes and listen. The hum beneath everything feels like breathing, slow and ancient. Perhaps the earth dreams too. Perhaps every mind, from amoeba to human, contributes to this great nocturnal tide of imagination, the universe contemplating itself in sleep. You relax completely. The dream dissolves into color, then into light, then into warmth. The line between awareness and rest fades to nothing. And in that soft emptiness, you feel at home, as if for a moment you've returned to the place where thoughts are born. You linger in that world of dissolving color, where images rise and fade like ripples in water. Slowly, the dream begins to cool. The light dims. What remains are the traces, the impressions that stay after waking. And with them comes another wonder, how the mind keeps what matters and lets the rest go. You are entering the elastic thread of memory. It stretches quietly through your life, invisible yet constant. Every face you've known, every scent, every emotion, each one stored somewhere within your neural tapestry. Some memories glow sharp as glass, Others blur softly like old photographs. They are your private constellations, shining in patterns only you can see. One mainstream fact anchors you gently. Memory isn't stored in one place. It's scattered across the brain, woven through the hippocampus, the cortex, the amygdala. When you recall something, your mind reconstructs it piece by piece, assembling sensations, sounds, and emotions into a seamless illusion of the past. Each recollection is not retrieval, but rebirth. The quirky tidbit: every time you remember something, you also rewrite it. The act of recall opens a memory to change, allowing new emotions and interpretations to slip in before it's stored again. Your past isn't static, it evolves with you. In a sense, you never remember an event, you remember the last time you remembered it. You drift through this realization, feeling how fluid memory truly is. The scenes of your life shimmer like reflections in a moving stream. Some stay bright, moments of laughter, of awe. Others sink into shadow, fading into the quiet silt below consciousness. Yet, even those forgotten fragments influence you. They shape preferences, fears, and choices, whispering from beneath awareness. Scientists still wonder how memories endure for decades, while the brain itself changes constantly. The cells that held your childhood memories are gone, replaced over time, yet the memories remain. Some theories suggest that memory is preserved through patterns of connectivity, waves of activity rather than fixed structures. You are a living network of echoes, carrying a continuity built from rhythm rather than permanence. You take a deep breath and let your mind wander back to your earliest recollections, perhaps a scent of rain, a bright color, a voice calling your name. It feels like touching fog, intangible, yet familiar. These oldest memories are often fragments because the hippocampus, the brain's archivist, was still maturing. Before that, experience existed without a stable frame. Childhood, then, is partly amnesia, an ocean of sensations never written down. The quirky wonder: there are people who remember every day of their lives in astonishing detail, a condition called hyperthymesia. They can recall what they wore, what they ate, the weather, even the texture of the air decades ago. Yet they often describe it as overwhelming, an endless flood of detail with no release. Forgetting, it seems, is not a flaw, it's mercy. Scientists still wonder why emotional memories stay strongest. When something moves you deeply, the amygdala releases chemicals that strengthen synaptic bonds, fixing the moment like ink. This is why joy, love, and fear linger longest. Your brain writes most fiercely when your heart is involved. You imagine memories as stars flickering in the darkness, each one glowing with a particular hue. Some pulse golden moments of happiness, others a faint blue loneliness, regret, and yet together they form a single picture, the constellation of you. The quirky tidbit: even false memories can feel utterly real. The brain, ever a storyteller, fills gaps to maintain coherence. Sometimes it invents entire moments to bridge what's missing. It doesn't lie to deceive, it lies to preserve the story. Your identity depends on the illusion of continuity, and the mind obliges with quiet kindness. Scientists still wonder how sleep reshapes memory. During deep rest, the hippocampus replays patterns of activity, strengthening some connections and pruning others. It's as if the brain performs gentle editing each night, deciding what to keep and what to let fade. You dream to process, but you sleep to organize. By morning, the day has been turned into a narrative you can carry forward. You breathe slowly and imagine your memories as soft threads drifting from your body, stretching backward into time. They connect you to every version of yourself you've ever been. The child laughing at shadows, the teenager dreaming of escape, the adult learning how to rest. Each version still exists somewhere in the weave, suspended like amber in the flow of thought. The quirky wonder: Experiments with memory implants in animals have shown that specific recollections can be triggered or even altered by activating certain neurons. It suggests that memory isn't just stored, it's programmable. If we can rewrite the past inside the mind, what then defines the self? You realize that perhaps identity is simply the story we choose to remember. Scientists still wonder why some memories surface uninvited songs, looping endlessly, moments replaying at random. They call them intrusive memories, echoes that refuse to fade. They might be the brain's way of asking for closure, or simply the side effect of circuits too well connected. You've felt that before, a memory so strong, it arrives like light through a crack in a door. You close your eyes and let those lights swirl gently. Some brighten, others dim. You realize that you don't have to hold them all. The mind, like the ocean, renews itself through forgetting. What sinks becomes part of the current, invisible but not lost. Every forgotten thing contributes to who you are in ways you no longer need to name. The quirky tidbit: when you recall something vividly, say, the smell of rain or the warmth of a loved one's hand, the same brain regions activate as when you first experienced it. Memory is reliving, not rethinking. You are traveling through time, not imagining it. You smile softly at that thought. Every memory you hold is a form of time travel, a proof that your consciousness stretches across the years like an elastic thread. You can reach back, not to change the past, but to understand how it shaped you. You breathe deeply one last time. The memories fade into quiet light, folding themselves neatly away. You feel their warmth still, even as they disappear from sight. They have become part of the background hum, the gentle continuity of your being. You are not a timeline. You are the entire thread, coiled gracefully within the present. You float in that calm space where memories have settled like dust in sunlight. Each fragment hums softly beneath your awareness, alive but at peace. And as you drift, something warmer begins to rise from within the chemistry of feeling itself. A soft pulse moves through you, wordless yet powerful, tinting your world in subtle shades. You are entering the secret colors of emotion. They appear not as light, but as sensations: heat, rhythm, expansion, contraction. Each emotion is its own vibration, resonating through the body before the mind names it. You feel the simplest one first: calm, like the hush before dawn. Then curiosity, a gentle brightening. Then love, a glow spreading outward from the chest, steady and full. One mainstream fact steadies you. Emotions are not abstract moods. They are physical states, orchestrated by the brain's limbic system. The amygdala, hypothalamus, and prefrontal cortex work together to generate the symphony of feeling. Hormones like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin carry their notes through blood and breath. You don't just feel emotions, you are them. The quirky tidbit: scientists have mapped emotions across the human body. In those studies, participants colored diagrams showing where different feelings were most intense: anger in the head and hands, sadness in the chest, happiness glowing across the whole body. The patterns were nearly universal, as though every human carries the same palette of sensations beneath their skin. You drift gently through those colors now, letting each one bloom. Joy feels like gold, warm, diffused, expanding. Fear is silver blue, sharp and quick. Sorrow is gray, dense and grounding, like rain. You realize that emotions aren't interruptions of reason, they are the way reason breathes. Without them, thought has no compass. Scientists still wonder how emotions evolved. Perhaps they were early survival codes: fear to flee, anger to defend, affection to bond. But they became more than instincts. They became poetry. Somewhere along the way, emotion learned to paint, to sing, to cry. You think of how art, in all its forms, is simply the expression of the inner weather. The quirky wonder. Every emotion, even sadness, serves a biological purpose. Grief helps the brain adjust to loss by reshaping neural connections. Anxiety heightens awareness, preparing the body for change. Joy strengthens memory, anchoring the lessons worth keeping. There is no wasted feeling. Each one, however uncomfortable, teaches you how to stay alive in deeper ways. You close your eyes and recall a moment of pure love, perhaps someone's hand in yours, a familiar voice, a quiet kindness. As you remember, the same regions of your brain ignite as if it's happening now. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, flows gently through you. Love, you realize, is both memory and present tense. Scientists still wonder why music can stir emotion so profoundly. Notes, after all, are vibrations, not language, yet they bypass the intellect, speaking directly to the limbic system. A melody can bring tears or laughter without a single word. Perhaps the brain recognizes in music its own rhythm, the heartbeat of life itself. You breathe slowly, sensing your pulse in your fingertips. That rhythm is the original song, the first sound you ever heard long before speech, long before light. The body is the first instrument, and emotion is its melody. The quirky tidbit: tears come in different chemical forms depending on why you cry. Basal tears keep eyes lubricated. Reflex tears flush out irritants. But emotional tears contain hormones that relieve stress. When you weep, your body literally releases what your heart cannot hold alone. Scientists still wonder why humans share emotion so easily through empathy. When you see someone smile or wince, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were feeling it yourself. These are called mirror neurons, and they blur the boundary between me and you. Emotion, it seems, is contagious by design. You are built to resonate with others. You imagine standing near someone in silence and still feeling their mood without words, without gestures. That invisible exchange is part of your inheritance, the emotional gravity that holds humanity together. Even across distance, empathy threads through stories, music, and memory. You are never entirely alone in your feelings. Someone, somewhere, has known the same shade. The quirky wonder: laughter itself may predate language. Primates laugh during play, using it as a signal of trust. Human laughter, too, evolved to strengthen social bonds, releasing endorphins that ease pain and draw people close. Every chuckle is a small echo of the ancient code that says, "You are safe here." You think of how your emotions change shape with time. What once felt unbearable softens into nostalgia. What once made you tremble now feels like wisdom. The heart learns, even when the mind forgets. Emotion is memory that still moves. Scientists still wonder how consciousness produces the subjective richness of feeling. They can describe the chemical reactions, the neural circuits, but not what it feels like to be joyful or heartbroken. That inner texture, the first-person glow of experience, remains unquantifiable. Perhaps that mystery is the point. Without it, existence would be accurate but empty. You take another breath. Inside you, thousands of chemical messengers move in harmony, shaping your sense of being alive. Every sigh, every heartbeat, every tear is a chorus of molecules working in concert to let you feel. It's not weakness, it's participation. The universe expressing itself through sensation. The quirky tidbit: emotions can even alter perception of time. Fear makes seconds stretch. Joy makes hours vanish. The brain's internal clock bends to feeling. You realize that life isn't measured by minutes, but by intensity, the colors painted across consciousness. You let those colors settle now, merging into a single soft glow. Warmth replaces tension. Peace replaces urgency. Emotion, like weather, passes, but the climate of the soul remains. It's what makes you human, the ability to feel deeply and recover gently. You smile faintly in the quiet. The chemistry of feeling ebbs, leaving calm in its wake. The world glows faintly pink inside your closed eyelids, like dawn returning. You realize that emotion isn't a disturbance in the mind, it's proof that the universe, through you, can feel wonder. You rest within the gentle afterglow of emotion, the heart still warm, the mind still soft, and feel something new begin to stir. It's not a memory this time, nor a simple feeling. It's lighter, faster, and stranger. An idea flickers in the dark, unexpected and perfect, as though the universe itself has leaned forward to whisper, "You are entering the sudden birth of ideas." It comes quietly, like a spark catching in dry air. One moment, the thought wasn't there. The next, it's complete. You don't know where it came from, only that it feels inevitable, as if you've remembered something you never learned. Every invention, every melody, every story begins with this invisible arrival. One mainstream fact steadies you. Creativity doesn't spring from a single creative center in the brain. Instead, it arises from a conversation between networks, the default mode network, where imagination and memory mingle, the executive control network, which focuses and refines, and the salience network, which decides when an idea is worth attention. Inspiration, then, is not chaos, it's coordination. The quirky tidbit: when you have an aha moment, your brain produces a quick burst of gamma waves, the highest frequency brain activity measurable. It's the neural equivalent of lightning, illuminating many regions at once. In that instant, your body may even react to a small rush of dopamine, a shiver, a widening of the eyes. The thrill of understanding is physical. You drift closer to the process now, as though watching thought form in slow motion. You see old memories recombine in new ways, like constellations reshaping themselves into new patterns. A childhood image meets a recent sound, and suddenly, a connection forms. This is creativity, the universe rearranging its own memory through you. Scientists still wonder how much of invention is conscious effort and how much is surrender. Many breakthroughs come not in focus, but in rest, in the shower, on a walk, just before sleep. The brain's default mode takes over then, wandering freely, unchained by logic. You think of Archimedes in his bath, Newton beneath the apple tree, Kekulé dreaming of a serpent, biting its tail. The mind solves puzzles when it stops trying to solve them. You take a slow breath, feeling that rhythm in yourself. Ideas don't arrive through force, they bloom through openness. The mind, when softened, becomes like soil. What you plant in it during waking thought takes root in silence. The quirky wonder, the right hemisphere of the brain plays a crucial role in sudden insight. It's better at recognizing patterns from incomplete information, spotting coherence where the left hemisphere still sees confusion. Creativity, then, is partly the art of seeing wholes where others see fragments. Scientists still wonder why humans create at all. Evolution prizes efficiency and survival, yet art, poetry, music, and daydreams persist across every culture. Perhaps creativity is not a luxury, but a form of adaptation, the ability to imagine what doesn't yet exist, to prepare for futures unseen. The same instinct that paints stars also solves hunger and builds shelter. Imagination is survival dressed in wonder. You think of your own ideas, how they've come quietly, sometimes inconveniently, like visitors arriving unannounced. They appear while you're washing dishes, watching clouds, or just before falling asleep. You've learned not to chase them but to listen. The more gently you pay attention, the more they seem to trust you. The quirky tidbit: in creative moments, the brain's frontal lobes responsible for judgment and inhibition momentarily quiet down. This temporary looseness allows associations that logic would otherwise block. That's why creative people often speak of losing themselves in flow. It's not loss, it's release. You drift into that state now. Ideas float around you like fireflies, each one glowing faintly with potential. You reach for one, and as you do, it brightens, takes shape: a melody, a sentence, a vision. You realize that creativity isn't conjuring something from nothing, it's tuning into something already humming beneath awareness. You are not the source, you are the instrument. Scientists still wonder where the boundary lies between inspiration and intuition. Are flashes of insight simply the subconscious assembling known data faster than awareness can notice? Or do they tap into something larger, a collective intelligence woven through life itself? Mystics and poets have long called it the muse. Physicists call it pattern recognition. Perhaps both are correct. The quirky wonder. Some studies show that creative breakthroughs often follow mild frustration. The brain builds tension while trying to solve a problem, and when it finally lets go, the stored energy releases as insight. Even confusion, it seems, has purpose. You must get lost before you can find something truly new. You breathe, feeling that balance between effort and ease. Every artist, every scientist, every thinker dances on that edge. The universe hides its treasures, not to punish curiosity, but to train it to teach patience, humility, and joy in discovery. You picture yourself as a tiny node in a great network of minds, each one glowing faintly. Every new idea you have sends a ripple through that network, connecting to others unseen. Maybe the world's greatest inventions, songs, and dreams are just humanity thinking together in slow motion. Scientists still wonder if creativity could exist in artificial systems. Could a machine ever feel the thrill of inspiration, the satisfaction of creation? Some say yes, that creativity is computation. Others insist it requires emotion, the ineffable urge to make meaning. You suspect that true creation needs warmth, the spark of being alive. The quirky tidbit. Some neuroscientists have found that creativity flourishes during alpha wave states, the calm wakefulness of meditation, daydreaming, or quiet focus. The same rhythm that helps you relax also opens doors to invention. Stillness, it turns out, is fertile ground. You close your eyes, breathing deeply. In the quiet, an idea flickers again. Not a word or an image, but a feeling. It hums softly, waiting. You don't need to force it. It will return when it's ready, like a tide, rising at its own pace. You smile faintly. The mind is not a machine, it's a garden. Ideas are its flowers, blooming when tended with rest, curiosity, and care. And as you drift in this peaceful space, you sense the next idea already forming somewhere deep inside you, waiting for the right moment to be born. You float through that quiet garden of thought, the air still shimmering with afterglow from the birth of ideas. Slowly, you begin to notice how easily those ideas shift and reshape themselves, how imagination blends the real with the remembered until the boundaries blur. You start to realize that reality itself, as you perceive it, is not fixed. It bends gently under the weight of attention and memory. You are entering the gentle trick of perception. It begins with something simple, a sound in the distance, a shadow in dim light. Your brain interprets the signals, filling in what's missing. You don't see with your eyes alone, you see with expectation. You don't hear only vibrations, you hear meaning. Every perception is a story your mind tells about the world, a story so convincing that you forget it's fiction. One mainstream fact steadies you. What you see is not the world as it is, but the world as your brain predicts it should be. The visual cortex doesn't just record data, it anticipates. Scientists call this predictive processing. Each moment, your brain guesses what's about to happen, compares that guess to incoming signals, and adjusts. You live inside a simulation that constantly updates itself, one fraction of a second at a time. The quirky tidbit. Your brain edits out the time it takes to process vision, about 80 milliseconds, by projecting the image slightly forward. That means you're always seeing a prediction of the present, not the actual present itself. Reality, as you experience it, is a clever delay covered by intuition. You breathe slowly, feeling the wonder of that. The world you inhabit is a conversation between fact and imagination, and the border between them is delicate. When perception and expectation align, reality feels stable. When they don't, you notice when something unexpected happens. Your mind rushes to reconcile it. Scientists still wonder how perception becomes consciousness. The eyes, ears, and skin provide raw data, but the mind weaves it into coherence. How does sound become music? How does light become color? No one truly knows how sensation turns into experience. The transformation remains hidden behind the curtain of awareness. You think of the illusions you've seen, images that move when they're still, sounds that seem to shift pitch, mirages that shimmer in the heat. The quirky wonder, even knowing the trick, doesn't make it disappear. Your mind obeys its own rules. It believes what it expects, more than what it observes. You drift deeper into the sense of déjà vu, that eerie feeling of having lived a moment before. Scientists still wonder what causes it. Some say it's a misfire in memory, a new experience processed through the brain's familiarity circuits before it's fully encoded. Others think it's the brain's way of testing its predictions against reality, a tiny glitch in time perception. You feel it now, that strange layering of present and past, and you realize how close the two have always been. You take a slow breath. The air feels thick with possibility, as though perception itself has texture. You wonder whether dreams and waking life share the same mechanism, both built from expectation and pattern. Perhaps you never truly wake. You only shift which version of the dream you believe in. The quirky tidbit. Your sense of self, your feeling of being you, depends on perception too. The brain's insular cortex integrates signals from within the body, heartbeat, breath, temperature, and turns them into identity. You think, I am this body, not because you decided it, but because perception told you so. Consciousness, in a way, is the most intricate illusion of all. Scientists still wonder how far this illusion extends. Does every creature perceive its own version of reality? A bat experiences the world through echo, a snake through heat, a fish through vibration. Each species lives in a different sensory universe, an umwelt, as biologists call it. You realize there is no single reality, only overlapping ones, each tuned to survival. You imagine the ocean of perception stretching around you, each mind, like a bubble floating within it. Yours interprets color, time, touch. Others interpret magnetism, scent, or pulse. The universe, then, isn't one image but billions, each flickering with its own truth. The quirky wonder. When astronauts orbit Earth, many report the overview effect, a sudden, overwhelming emotion when seeing the planet from space. Boundaries between nations vanish. The world becomes one fragile sphere of light. Perception expands, and so does empathy. It's as if seeing differently allows them to be differently. You smile softly. You felt your own smaller versions of that moments, when a familiar place suddenly looked new, when music transformed an ordinary afternoon, when time seemed to slow during a perfect silence. Perception is elastic. It stretches to accommodate wonder. Scientists still wonder why perception occasionally disconnects, why time feels slow in danger or fast in joy. They suspect the brain's internal clock speeds or slows depending on emotion. When adrenaline floods, every moment widens. When contentment flows, time dissolves. You realize that your experience of duration is not measured in seconds, but in feeling. You breathe in deeply, noticing the air touch the inside of your lungs. You see how sensation turns to perception, perception to meaning. Even something as simple as breathing contains layers: temperature, rhythm, pressure, awareness. You think of how often you do this without noticing, how perception hums constantly beneath attention. The quirky tidbit: optical illusions don't just fool the eyes, they reveal how perception works. When you see impossible motion or shifting shapes, you're watching your brain's predictive model in action, testing hypotheses, discarding the improbable. Illusions are not failures, they are experiments. You realize that maybe life itself is an illusion of the same kind, not deception, but experiment. You move through existence testing, adjusting, learning. You may never see reality as it is, but you can see it beautifully, accurately enough to survive, to love, to wonder. Scientists still wonder if reality even exists independent of observation, or if perception constructs it moment by moment. Quantum mechanics whispers that observation shapes outcome. Neuroscience suggests perception shapes consciousness. Perhaps they are the same truth. To perceive is to participate. You close your eyes. The world doesn't vanish. It rearranges. Light becomes memory. Sound becomes imagination. Time becomes stillness. You realize that perception isn't a window, it's a mirror, showing you the world as filtered through yourself. And in that reflection lies something tender, the universe learning to see itself from your point of view. You linger in that quiet awareness of perception, watching how reality and imagination blend together in soft waves. You can feel the boundary between body and mind thinning, the way a morning fog fades with light. And as it does, you sense another mystery rising, something the mind can do even without proof, something that often heals what science struggles to fix. You are entering the healing illusion. It begins gently, almost invisibly, in the space between belief and biology. You've felt it before, the way calm deepens when someone says, "You'll be all right," or how a single reassuring hand can slow the heart. The body listens to the mind, and the mind listens back. Somehow, faith, whether in medicine, in others, or in oneself, can shift the machinery of being. One mainstream fact steadies you: the placebo effect is real. When patients receive an inert pill, but believe it will help, measurable changes occur. Pain decreases, immune response strengthens, even heart rate normalizes. The body doesn't distinguish between medicine and meaning. It responds to expectation. The quirky tidbit: researchers have found that even when people know they're taking a placebo, the effect can persist. Open label placebos, as they're called, still ease symptoms. Belief, it seems, doesn't need deception. It only needs participation. The act of hope itself can trigger healing. You drift gently through that realization, the air around you warm and steady. The mind, you think, is not simply the brain, it's a landscape of stories, of interpretations that ripple through the body's chemistry. Thoughts release molecules. Emotions adjust hormones. Attention redirects energy. When you imagine calm, the heart follows. When you picture strength, muscles respond. Scientists still wonder how deep this connection goes. The placebo effect activates the same neural pathways as real treatments, releasing endorphins, dopamine, and other neurotransmitters. The brain doesn't just mimic healing, it initiates it. You realize that biology, at its core, is suggestion embodied. The quirky wonder: there's also a darker twin to this, the nocebo effect. Just as belief in healing can mend, belief in harm can wound. When patients are warned of side effects, some experience them even from harmless substances. The mind, it turns out, can both soothe and scar. Perception is power in either direction. You breathe slowly, thinking of moments in your own life when reassurance felt like medicine. A doctor's calm voice, a loved one's touch, a quiet night's sleep after worry. All these moments show the same truth: safety heals. The body's first requirement for repair is to stop bracing for danger. Scientists still wonder whether ancient healing rituals worked, not through mysticism, but through mastery of this same mechanism. The rhythm of drums, the smell of herbs, the words of blessing, all signals that the body could relax, that help was present. Across centuries, across cultures, humans learned that meaning itself could mend tissue. You drift through the image of an ancient healer, tending a wound beneath starlight. The patient closes their eyes, breathing deeply, and the pain softens. What changed? Chemistry, belief, care, all three intertwined. You realize that the line between mind and medicine has always been porous. The quirky tidbit, meditation and visualization, can alter measurable biological states, slowing heart rate, lowering blood pressure, reducing inflammation. When you picture warmth spreading through your body, blood flow increases to that region. The mind paints in color, and the body responds in kind. Scientists still wonder whether all healing involves some degree of illusion. Every treatment, no matter how technical, depends on trust. Trust in doctors, in science, in the process of recovery. Without that trust, the body resists. Perhaps healing isn't the conquest of illness, but a conversation between belief and biology, between the seen and unseen. You breathe again, and picture the nervous system as a network of shimmering light, each nerve, like a small river carrying signals of calm or fear. When you exhale, those rivers slow, widen, and smooth. The parasympathetic system takes over, easing tension. Your body listens not only to medicine, but to meaning. The quirky wonder. Some neuroscientists now describe the brain as a prediction machine, constantly anticipating what's next and adjusting accordingly. If it predicts healing, it prepares for it. The placebo effect, then, isn't a trick. It's the brain's predictive model becoming self-fulfilling. You heal because you expect to. You think of how this truth might apply beyond illness. Confidence, too, is a kind of placebo, the belief in ability that creates ability. Hope is the placebo of the soul, strengthening it long before proof arrives. The universe, it seems, rewards imagination with reality. Scientists still wonder how far this can go. Could consciousness itself direct cellular repair? Studies of biofeedback, hypnosis, and mindfulness hint that awareness can alter processes once thought automatic. Pain signals, immune responses, even gene expression respond to mental state. The body is listening always. You smile faintly, remembering how you feel better after someone says, "You're safe now." No pill, no procedure, just tone and presence. It's not a miracle, it's design. The nervous system is built to respond to kindness as if it were medicine. The quirky tidbit: laughter triggers endorphin release and boosts immune activity. It's literal therapy, one ancient enough to have evolved before words. The body cannot tell the difference between a joyful illusion and genuine joy. It reacts with healing either way. You breathe deeply now, imagining a soft golden light filling your chest, spreading warmth through every limb. You don't need to prove it's real. Your body already responds. The heart slows, the muscles ease, the air tastes cleaner. Belief doesn't replace science, it completes it. Scientists still wonder if this interplay between mind and body hints at a larger principle. Perhaps reality itself operates on participation, the world responding to how it is perceived. Maybe belief and observation are twin aspects of creation, shaping not only health but existence itself. You let the thought fade softly. Healing, you realize, is not the erasure of pain, but the restoration of harmony. It's when every part of you, body and mind, begins to agree again. You close your eyes and smile. The illusion of wellness and wellness itself have become indistinguishable, and that, perhaps, is the secret that keeps you whole. You rest in that warmth, the golden calm of belief and biology intertwined. The air feels softer, thicker somehow, like the quiet just before dawn. Around you, the pulse of existence slows to a tender rhythm, and you realize that every creature, from the tiniest cell to the mightiest whale, must pause in this way. You are entering the rhythm of life and sleep. It begins with fatigue, a gentle signal from the body that it's time to yield. Muscles loosen, heart rate slows, temperature drops. But what feels like stillness is, in truth, a symphony of precision. Inside your brain, waves of activity shift gears. Neurotransmitters trade places like watchful guardians changing shifts. You are not shutting down, you are transforming. One mainstream fact steadies you. Sleep is essential to survival. Without it, memory falters, immunity weakens, judgment clouds. Even a few sleepless nights can blur thought and emotion until waking life begins to unravel. Every animal, from fruit fly to elephant, succumbs to rest in some form. It is not luxury, it is law. The quirky tidbit: dolphins and some birds sleep with only half their brain at a time. The other half stays alert to breathe or watch for danger. It's called unihemispheric, slow-wave sleep, a marvel of evolution. Sleep, then, is not always surrender, it's adaptation. Even rest can be alert in its own way. You drift now through that in-between state where wakefulness dissolves. The mind releases its grip on the day, and the senses turn inward. The first stage of sleep arrives like fog over still water. Hypnagogic images flicker colors, sounds, fragments of thought. You may see faces that don't exist, hear whispers that vanish as soon as they're noticed. You're standing at the border between the known and the unmade. Scientists still wonder why we sleep at all. Evolution rarely preserves behaviors that waste time or expose weakness, yet every living thing rests. Some say sleep evolved for energy conservation. Others suggest it's for neural housekeeping, an internal cleaning that clears toxins from the brain through the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid pulses through neural tissue, washing away the day's debris. You are literally refreshed by dreams. You take a slow breath, feeling how every inhale and exhale becomes gentler, rounder. Breathing itself syncs with your descent into slumber, a lullaby built into the body. Even your cells follow this rhythm. At night, DNA repairs itself. Muscles grow stronger. The heart rehearses its steady cadence for the next day. The quirky wonder: your brain waves slow during slow-wave sleep to about 1 cycle per second, a deep delta rhythm that coordinates the body's repair systems. Meanwhile, the pituitary gland releases growth hormone, patching and rebuilding microscopic damage. To sleep is to rebuild the temple of the self, cell by cell. Scientists still wonder why dreams cluster in REM stages, while deep sleep remains almost dreamless. Perhaps it's sufficiency dreaming to process emotions after the structure of rest has been restored. The two alternate in cycles of roughly 90 minutes, each complementing the other. You pass through about 5 of these cycles each night, like tides rising and falling within your mind. You imagine these rhythms expanding beyond your body into the natural world. Flowers close their petals at dusk, plankton drift upward by night, the ocean's creatures follow lunar cues. Even the earth sleeps and wakes in its own way, turning toward and away from sunlight every 24 hours. Sleep, you realize, is not yours alone. It's the pulse of the planet. The quirky tidbit: some trees seem to droop slightly at night, as if relaxing. Using lasers, Scientists have watched branches lower by centimeters in the dark, returning to their full reach at sunrise. Plants, too, rest and recover in rhythm with the day. Life itself breathes in cycles of effort and release. You close your eyes fully, letting the rhythm envelop you. Your thoughts sway between awareness and surrender. There's a quiet intelligence in this design, the body demanding not endless motion, but balance. To pause is not to waste time, it is to honor time's flow. Scientists still wonder how consciousness slips so easily away during sleep and returns each morning unchanged. It's the closest experience you have to death, yet it feels natural, even necessary. The boundary between existence and oblivion softens for hours, and then you awaken, reborn. The continuity of self survives the nightly disappearance. You think of dreams as the moonlit tide of thought, pulling emotions from the depths, carrying them back polished and clean. Every morning, you wake lighter, emptier of worry, as if your mind has combed its tangled threads in the dark. The quirky wonder, people who sleep less than 6 hours regularly are more prone to depression, obesity, and heart disease. Yet oversleeping can bring its own haze of fatigue. There is a sweet spot, a natural harmony each body must find. Sleep, like love or music, works best in balance. You breathe slowly, sensing how your heartbeat aligns with this rhythm. You feel gratitude for every organism that follows this ancient cycle. Even galaxies, in their own way, have rest periods of silence between the births of stars. The universe itself pulses between motion and stillness. Scientists still wonder if consciousness ever fully stops. Even in deep sleep, the brain hums faintly, monitoring heartbeat, temperature, and sound. Part of you always watches, like a lighthouse beam rotating in the fog. Awareness, it seems, never extinguishes, it only dims enough to dream. You smile softly. Rest is not the opposite of life, it's its partner. You cannot sustain without it, just as waves cannot rise without retreating. Sleep is the universe teaching you to surrender without fear. You imagine yourself lying beneath a night sky, feeling the Earth's rotation carry you into darkness. Every creature around you rests, every tree and tide and breeze part of the same cosmic lullaby. The stars above twinkle not as reminders of distance, but as slow, ancient breaths. You inhale once more, and with that breath, the rhythm of life becomes your own. You drift in the gentle tide of sleep, carried by the rhythm of breath and heartbeat, until the current of time begins to stir again. Slowly, softly, you return to the waking world different, though the world itself has not changed. Morning light touches your skin, and something deeper reminds you that everything living carries a clock inside. You are entering the slow passage of age. It begins quietly. A cell divides a little slower. A heartbeat rests a little longer. You do not notice at first. Time moves in whispers. Yet within you, every atom keeps its own rhythm. The same processes that build and renew also wear and fade. Life is balance, creation, and decay playing endlessly together. One mainstream fact steadies you. Aging is written into biology. Each time a cell divides, the protective caps at the ends of its chromosomes, telomeres, shorten slightly. When they grow too short, the cell can no longer divide properly. This gradual fraying is one of the fundamental causes of aging. It's as if each cell keeps a countdown, not out of cruelty, but to maintain order. The quirky tidbit: there are creatures that seem to ignore this rule. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, can revert its cells back to a youthful state, effectively resetting its life cycle again and again. It never truly dies of age. It simply begins anew. You imagine drifting in the sea as that creature, each ending only another beginning, each day as young as the first. You breathe slowly, feeling how your own body carries echoes of renewal too. Every 7 to 10 years, most of your cells are replaced. You are not the same person physically as you were a decade ago, yet the pattern persists, the memory of form. Perhaps age is not loss, but refinement, like a river carving its valley deeper with time. Scientists still wonder why evolution allows aging at all. If life's goal is survival, why design an expiration? Some theories suggest that aging benefits the species, making room for the young and new. Others see it as the price of complexity, a side effect of the same mechanisms that repair and grow. Immortality, they suspect, would come at the cost of adaptability. You look around, imagining how age shapes not just you, but the world. Trees widen with each season, their rings recording centuries. Stones erode, mountains soften, rivers deepen their beds. The universe, too, grows old, stars burn out, galaxies drift apart. Everything that exists carries a measure of impermanence. You realize that aging is not failure, it's the texture of time made visible. The quirky wonder. Scientists can now measure biological age, not just by years, but by epigenetic clocks, chemical changes that regulate which genes are active. Stress, sleep, diet, and love can all slow or accelerate that clock. In this way, time is not entirely linear. It listens to how you live. Every kindness, every breath of peace, is a form of renewal. You think of the face of someone older, lines etched like rivers of laughter and grief. Each wrinkle is not decay, but record proof of life lived attentively. The body, like a journal, remembers in texture and tone. Scientists still wonder whether aging can be reversed. Experiments in mice have already extended lifespan by reactivating dormant genes, by repairing telomeres, by reprogramming cells back to youth. Yet even if we could live indefinitely, would we still grow? Maybe mortality is the frame that gives meaning to the painting. Without it, life might lose urgency, beauty, and awe. You breathe deeply, sensing the balance between change and continuity. Your skin ages, but your voice carries the same warmth. Your thoughts mature, but the spark of curiosity remains the same one that burned in childhood. The outer layers shift, but the inner rhythm hums unchanged. The quirky tidbit: there are humans known as super-agers, people in their 80s and 90s whose brains resist decline. Scans show that their memory centers remain youthful, often due to lifelong engagement, curiosity, and connection. The mind, it seems, ages most gently when it continues to learn. Scientists still wonder how emotion affects longevity. People who live with purpose, who feel connected and curious, tend to age more gracefully. The biology of aging, they say, is inseparable from the psychology of meaning. Perhaps the secret is simple. The body follows the soul's tempo. You imagine yourself decades older, sitting quietly under a tree, the same one you pass every day. You feel time differently then, not as a thief, but as a sculptor. You've been carved by experience into something more intricate, more open, more serene. The quirky wonder: even as neurons die with age, the brain compensates by strengthening remaining connections, rerouting pathways like a city adapting to new roads. The older brain becomes efficient, not wasteful. It learns which thoughts matter. You think of that and smile, the mind pruning itself toward wisdom. Scientists still wonder if aging could one day stop altogether. Some dream of eternal youth, others dream of eternal meaning. Yet maybe they are the same dream, because immortality, in a way, already exists in stories, in art, in memory, in the atoms you return to the world. Nothing is truly lost. It only changes form. You feel that truth settle quietly in your chest. Age is not an ending, but a translation from body to earth, from energy to light. Even the stars die this way, scattering elements that become new worlds, new lives. The universe ages, but it never runs out of beginnings. You close your eyes and feel gratitude for time itself, the slow teacher, the patient sculptor. The lines it draws are lessons, the seasons it turns are reminders. Life moves forward not to fade, but to unfold. You breathe once more. Somewhere deep inside, your cells hum their steady tune, each one a clock, each one a promise. You are both temporary and timeless, aging and renewing, a fragment of the universe, learning to love the art of becoming older. You linger within that tender awareness of time's passing, the calm acceptance that every heartbeat, every breath, belongs to a rhythm older than you. And as you rest in that thought, you begin to hear something faint but steady beneath it, the murmur of the living world, a song that doesn't come from you, yet somehow includes you. You are entering the secret languages of the living earth. It begins with sound, soft, patient, continuous, the rustle of leaves, the low vibration of the sea, the subsonic groans of tectonic plates beneath the ground. You realize that the planet is never silent. It hums, breathes, and speaks through patterns, frequencies, and rhythms. Every creature, every element, joins the conversation. One mainstream fact steadies you. Scientists have discovered that trees communicate through a vast underground network of fungi, known as the mycorrhizal web. Roots exchange nutrients and signals through microscopic filaments, warning neighbors of drought or disease, even sharing resources with weaker trees. Forests, it turns out, are communities alive with cooperation and empathy. The quirky tidbit: when insects chew on a leaf, nearby plants can detect the specific vibrations of the attack and respond by releasing chemicals to deter predators. Plants can hear, not in the human sense, but through vibration. The language of survival, spoken through touch and tremor, has no need for words. You drift among these unseen connections, imagining roots glowing faintly beneath the soil like neural circuits. Every root tip, every fungal thread pulses with intention, information traveling through darkness in the same way. Thought moves through your mind. You realize that consciousness might not belong solely to brains. It could belong to networks, to systems, to any place where connection thrives. Scientists still wonder how far this communication extends. Whales sing across thousands of miles, their songs echoing through entire ocean basins. Elephants rumble through infrasound so low that humans can't hear it, messages traveling kilometers through the ground. Even coral reefs produce faint crackling noises, tiny fish and shrimp creating the soundscape that guides new life back home. The Earth, you realize, is an orchestra with no conductor, playing a harmony that keeps itself alive. You listen more closely. There's rhythm in everything: the daily migration of plankton that rise toward moonlight, the seasonal dance of birds that cross continents using invisible maps of magnetism, the quirky wonder: some birds can actually see magnetic fields, patterns of light flickering across their vision to show the way north. Navigation, it seems, is not thought but perception, a quiet trust in forces larger than the self. Scientists still wonder if humans once shared more of this instinctive sensitivity, if ancient people could sense changes in pressure before storms, or feel the subtle hum of the Earth's magnetic field. Traces of that awareness linger even now. The comfort you feel near the sea, the alertness before rain, the calm that comes in the forest's shade. The planet still speaks, you've just learned to listen through noise. You breathe deeply, and the air itself feels alive. Each inhale carries a story of exchange. Oxygen exhaled by trees, carbon dioxide returned by you. The forest breathes in time with you. Every leaf a lung, every root a vein. Even now, as you rest, the planet, and you complete each other's sentences. The quirky tidbit: scientists once placed sensors on houseplants and found subtle electrical fluctuations. When the plants were touched, or even when someone merely intended to touch them. The experiments remain controversial, yet the implication is poetic. Maybe awareness is not confined to sentience, but woven through life itself. You drift over the surface of the ocean now. The waves glint silver under starlight, and below them, whale songs spiral upward. Deep-sea hydrophones record melodies that last for hours, repeating, evolving, echoing through water like memory itself. Some patterns reappear years later, slightly altered, like verses in an endless song. You feel the pull of that rhythm, both alien and familiar. Scientists still wonder why whales sing. Is it navigation, communication, courtship, or simply art for its own sake? The complexity of their songs rivals that of human music, shifting with time and geography. When you listen to them, you sense intelligence that doesn't need words. You realize language is not a privilege, it's a spectrum, and all of life participates in it. The quirky wonder, even bacteria, talk to each other through chemical signals. When enough gather in one place, they sense their own density and change behavior, a process called quorum sensing. It's how they know when to form colonies, when to glow, when to rest. Cooperation begins at the smallest scales. Life, from its first spark, has always been social. You let that truth settle into you. Communication is not unique, it's universal. Every living system, from a single cell to a sprawling forest, survives by exchanging information. The difference between language and life is only a matter of rhythm and translation. Scientists still wonder what the planet sounds like from space, not its magnetic field or radiation, but its living resonance. Satellite data turned into sound reveals low-frequency waves pulsing through the atmosphere, a heartbeat of sorts. The Earth hums in a key somewhere between B-flat and C. The music of the spheres, once myth, turns out to be true. You imagine yourself floating above that great blue sphere now, listening to the harmony of water, air, and fire, the pulse of volcanoes, the breathing of oceans. The same heartbeat echoes inside you. You are never separate from it. You are one of its syllables, a single note in its unending chant. The quirky tidbit. Some scientists believe lightning itself may stimulate plant growth, releasing nitrogen that nourishes soil. Storms, then, are part of the dialogue, destruction and renewal in one gesture. The planet speaks through thunder and responds with green. You take a deep breath, feeling the earth beneath you not as ground but as a living being. Every vibration, from the rustle of grass to the roll of distant thunder, carries meaning. If you listen long enough, you hear it say the same thing over and over: you belong here. You close your eyes, hearing the hum fade into your own pulse. The difference between the world's heartbeat and yours disappears. In that quiet unity, you realize that life is not a collection of voices but a single language, spoken by everything that lives, whispered through soil, air, and memory. You remain suspended in that awareness of the living earth, the hum of roots, the whisper of tides, and slowly you begin to sense the silence between those sounds. It's not emptiness, but something older and deeper. The stillness beneath the heartbeat of the planet. You are entering the quiet gravity of the cosmos. It begins as a widening of perception, a gentle expansion. The air thins, the horizon stretches. The ground beneath you, once solid and small, becomes part of something vast. You feel the invisible pull that keeps everything together, the silent hand that binds atoms, stars, and galaxies. Gravity. It is both cradle and leash, both safety and constraint. One mainstream fact steadies you. Gravity is not truly a force, but the curvature of space and time itself. Einstein taught that massive objects bend the fabric of the cosmos, and smaller ones follow those curves like pebbles rolling across a stretched sheet. The sun does not pull the Earth, it shapes the space around it. and the Earth simply moves along that shape. You are falling through geometry, not being held by it. The quirky tidbit. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station are not weightless because there's no gravity. They're weightless because they're always falling. Their spacecraft, and their bodies within it, continually tumble toward Earth, missing it by inches every second. Weightlessness is perpetual descent turned into grace. You drift with them now, above the blue marble of your home. The curve of the horizon glows faintly with atmosphere, thin as breath. You can see lightning flashing across continents, auroras swirling near the poles. Every heartbeat you feel is echoed by the planet's magnetic pulse, wrapping you both in unseen protection. Scientists still wonder what gravity is. We can describe it, predict it, measure it, but not truly define it. Quantum theory and general relativity, the twin pillars of physics, still refuse to agree. Somewhere between the infinitely large and the infinitely small, gravity hides its true nature, like a secret whispered by the universe to itself. You think about how that same mystery shaped everything you know. Without gravity, stars could not form, planets would not coalesce, oceans would not cling to the Earth, and you would not exist. Every atom in your body once fell together inside collapsing stars. You were built by the language of falling. The quirky wonder, black holes, the densest expressions of gravity, warp time so completely that an outside observer would see it stop. To approach one is to stretch existence itself, to turn seconds into centuries. Some physicists believe that at a black hole's core lies not destruction but transformation, a doorway to another region of space-time, or perhaps to another universe entirely. You imagine drifting near such a place now. The event horizon gleams like liquid night, stars bending as their light curves around it. You feel awe, not fear. Gravity here is not violence, it's perfection, an equation written in shadow and fire. The universe folds inward to learn its own name. Scientists still wonder what happens beyond that veil. Information, according to physics, can never be destroyed, yet black holes appear to swallow it completely. Does it remain encoded in the faint radiation they emit, as Stephen Hawking proposed? Or is the universe rewriting itself every time something crosses that threshold? Even now, the question burns quietly at the heart of science. You breathe in the thought of it, the paradox, the humility it demands. The universe is not an answer, it is a dialogue. Gravity is the punctuation between each sentence, the soft pause that keeps meaning intact. The quirky tidbit, gravitational waves ripples in space-time caused by massive collisions were first detected in 2015. The detectors, LIGO and Virgo, measure changes smaller than a proton's width as space itself stretches and contracts. You can't see or hear them, yet they pass through you constantly, like music too deep for human ears. Somewhere out there, two black holes collided 1 billion years ago, and their echo still hums through your bones. You drift through that thought, feeling both tiny and infinite. Every second, Earth itself falls endlessly around the sun around the galactic core, the galaxy around a cluster, and that cluster around something larger still. The universe dances in circles of gravity, a choreography that never tires. Scientists still wonder whether gravity could link to quantum entanglement, the strange instant connection between particles across vast distances. If space and time can ripple, can they also remember? Some physicists whisper that gravity might be the thread stitching together, not just matter but consciousness. The same curve that pulls stars together might, in some way, hold minds in relation to. The quirky wonder. Near the edge of known space, the expansion of the universe accelerates, as if gravity itself weakens with distance. Dark energy, an invisible pressure, countering gravity's pull, pushes galaxies apart faster each moment. No one knows what it is, only that it fills most of existence. The cosmos, it seems, breathes in two directions at once: contraction and expansion, attraction and escape. You take a slow breath and realize that the same pattern exists within you. The inhale draws in, the exhale releases. Muscles tighten, then loosen. The heart contracts, then opens. Even your thoughts follow gravity. Some pull you inward toward reflection, others push you outward toward exploration. You are made of the same dual rhythm as the stars. Scientists still wonder if gravity is truly universal. Could there be regions where it behaves differently, where time itself runs at another pace? If you were born near a massive planet, seconds would move more slowly. You could live years longer without knowing it. In the grand scale, eternity might just be a matter of location. You smile softly at that idea. Perhaps immortality isn't found by escaping time, but by standing somewhere. Time moves slower, inside stillness, inside love, inside awareness. Gravity, then, isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's what keeps you tethered to meaning, what lets you orbit warmth. You close your eyes. Around you, space hums like a vast, deep ocean. The stars drift silently, their light taking centuries to reach you. Every atom in your body bows to gravity, the same way oceans bow to the moon. You are not resisting it, you are participating in it. The pull that shapes galaxies also shapes your heartbeat. And in that realization, you find peace. You are never falling alone. You are always moving in harmony with everything else. Each motion part of the same cosmic embrace, each breath part of the same gentle descent into wonder. You drift now through that cosmic hush, your thoughts gliding like faint light between galaxies. The stars stretch infinitely in every direction, yet there is something intimate in the vastness. Every atom in you once belonged to a star. Every photon in your eyes traveled across unimaginable distances to meet your gaze. The cosmos feels large, but somehow familiar, like home. You are entering the edge of mystery. It begins with a breath, not yours alone, but the universe's first inhale, the Big Bang. From a pinpoint of impossible density, space and time themselves unfurled, not into anything, but into being. You picture it, light rushing outward, matter condensing, gravity shaping, energy singing. And somewhere, in that ancient expansion, the seeds of you were sown. One mainstream fact steadies you. The universe is still expanding today, galaxies racing away from each other faster and faster. The further you look, the faster they recede, their light stretched into red. Scientists can measure this acceleration, but not explain it. They call the cause dark energy, a term as poetic as it is mysterious. It's a reminder that the cosmos is mostly made of what we cannot see. The quirky tidbit: even in the emptiest region of space, there are a few atoms, about 1 per cubic meter. And yet, that means every breath you take includes particles that once drifted through stars, planets, and living beings. You are inhaling ancient history. Matter does not vanish, it only changes address. You float gently through this awareness, realizing how connected everything truly is. The iron in your blood was forged in supernovas. The calcium in your bones once shimmered in starlight. You are, as Carl Sagan said, a way for the universe to know itself. You are not beneath the stars, you are among them. Scientists still wonder what lies beyond the observable universe. Light has traveled for 13.8 billion years to reach you. Yet, beyond that horizon, space continues. Perhaps there are other universes, each with its own laws and colors. Perhaps every choice, every moment, branches into another world. Infinity doesn't end, it folds. You breathe, and the air around you feels softer, more luminous. You sense that the universe isn't empty, it's attentive. Every vibration, every photon, carries information, waiting to be understood. Some physicists even suggest that reality itself may be made of information, that existence is a vast computation unfolding in time. If true, then every thought you have contributes to the great equation. The quirky wonder, the cosmic microwave background, the faint radiation left from the Big Bang, still hums everywhere, a whisper of origin. If your eyes could see microwaves, the night sky would glow evenly in every direction. You are surrounded, always, by the afterglow of creation. The universe never stopped singing. We just learned to call it silence. You drift further, and as you do, the boundaries of space and thought begin to merge. You think of all the mysteries that still remain unsolved. What is dark matter? Why does time flow only forward? Are we alone? Each question is not a failure to understand, but an invitation to wonder. Science, at its best, is not about certainty, it's about curiosity that never sleeps. Scientists still wonder whether consciousness itself might be part of the fabric of the cosmos. Some philosophers propose panpsychism, that awareness, in some tiny form, pervades all matter, that the universe, from electron to galaxy, has always been awake. You think about how gently that idea fits into everything you've learned. Connection, energy, pattern, rhythm. Perhaps the universe doesn't need to awaken, it already dreams. The quirky tidbit, quantum physics, suggests that particles exist in many states until observed. The simple act of measurement collapses possibility into reality. In that sense, you aren't just observing the universe, you're participating in it. You are a co-creator of experience, a collaborator in existence. You look inward now, realizing that the edge of mystery isn't at the borders of space, it's inside you. The mind that can imagine the cosmos, the heart that can feel its beauty, are themselves the most astonishing miracles. The universe created you to look back at itself and smile. Scientists still wonder how it will end. Will everything expand until it cools into darkness? Or will gravity one day pull it all back into a final collapse, a mirror of the beginning? The big rip, the big crunch, the big bounce, each theory carries both dread and poetry. But maybe endings are only transitions, as stars become dust, and dust becomes life again. You exhale slowly, letting the mystery fill the space between each thought. You no longer need answers. You've learned that wonder itself is enough, that to question is to live. The unknown isn't a void, it's a horizon. Every day you reach it, and every night it expands a little further. The quirky wonder, even at the atomic level, particles blink in and out of existence in what's called quantum foam. Reality flickers, unstable and alive. The universe is not solid, it's shimmering. Perhaps you are too. Every breath, every dream, every heartbeat is part of that flicker, that dance between nothing and everything. You smile softly now. The stars above you blur into gentle light. Time stretches, sound fades, and gravity loosens its hold. You are not falling, you are floating in understanding. You are made of mystery, and that is enough. You think back on the journey, the origin of matter, the pulse of cells, the whisper of dreams, the spark of thought, the flow of memory, the hum of emotion, the rhythm of sleep, the pull of gravity. All of it has led here to this single, peaceful awareness that you belong to something infinite, and it belongs to you. You breathe once more, and the cosmos breathes with you. The stars shimmer like quiet thoughts. The universe rests for a moment, perfectly still, perfectly awake. And now, as you drift toward rest, let everything soften. The questions can wait. The galaxies can keep spinning. You have traveled through the farthest reaches of thought and returned home to the simplest truth, peace. Let your breath slow, like waves easing against the shore. Feel the air move gently through you, steady and quiet. The muscles in your shoulders loosen. The space behind your eyes relaxes. The rhythm of your heart matches the rhythm of the night outside your window. Somewhere, a star is being born, somewhere else, another fades. You are part of both the beginning and the ending, the inhale and the exhale. You are not a separate observer of the universe. You are its continuation. Every dream you have tonight will ripple through the web of existence like light through glass. If you listen closely, you might hear it, the low hum beneath all things, the pulse that never stops. It's the same pulse that began with the Big Bang and still beats in your chest. You are that rhythm. You always were. Let yourself rest now, not as escape, but as return to the silence before words, to the space between thoughts. You don't need to understand the cosmos to belong to it. You already do. The universe will keep its watch. The tides will rise and fall. The stars will breathe with you until morning. Now drift, calm and weightless, into that endless quiet. Good night, traveler of wonder. Good night, spark of starlight and mind. You've seen what mystery means, and it smiles through you still. Sweet dreams.